start today.
Yeah.
Bing it, bang it, boom, dong, boom, ding,
Let the big doggy.
DA, great question.
all aboard the dog.
This is why you do what you do. Yo.
Somebody stop me.
Have some fun with your marriage.
I'm coming to you to be fat. Let me be fat.
Look it.
There's so many sickos in this country.
This is facts.
Oink, oink. Ow!
Hot and hurt.
I like pleasuring myself.
This is so dumb.
A little more juice.
What?
I am broken.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. The rest of my life gon' start today.
CBS Sports Radio.
Well, as I was saying, I was listening to the radio. I heard something. And what did you hear? A hissing sound like this.
Hey, T.A. Hey, D.A. Let me aboard that mothership.
Permission to board that mothership, sir.
Well, you know I had to slide through the intergalactic swag party. D.A., man, beam me up. What's going on, my brother from another mother? Beam me up. You guys are the best. You guys make it
Permission to board that mothership.
Mothership has connected.
And you the man, D.A.
Happy Tuesday to you, North America. The mothership has connected. Welcome aboard. It's the 4-hour Zero Gravity Gala. DA with you from the CBS Sports Radio studios in New York City, broadcasting to affiliates nationwide and north of the border. Anchorage to Atlanta, Norman to New Hampshire, Kalamazoo, and Waterloo. We are on the air.
Hey, listening, D.A. Everything we saying, D.A. Everything.
How we doing, everybody? Thanks so much for joining us. Fired up about this Trash Tuesday. Who or what is bugging you? Who or what is stuck in your craw?
Okay.
Let us know by tweeting at me, DA on CBS, or calling me up on the phones at 855-212-4CBS. We'll go through the trashes throughout the morning. We'll do our trashes next hour here on the show. Also coming up this morning on the program, hour 4, our friend Andrew Catalan from CBS Sports is going to join us. He was on the call over the weekend of the Columbus Pod, which hosted FDU, believe it, a 16 seed over a 1 seed, Fairleigh Dickinson knocking off Purdue. So we'll talk to Catalan about that, as well as a great FDU FAU game as well, and more about March Madness. That comes up in hour number 4. Also, this hour in 20 minutes, we've got your sound check. In 40 minutes, Adam Thielen tells us why he went to Carolina, and we don't believe him. That's all straight ahead. But let's begin with the Sweet 16, earmarked for Thursday and Friday. And with the recent retirements of so many legends of college basketball, there has been a void created of the legacy coaches. You know, in short order, Coach K retired. Right before that, it was Roy Williams. Then it was Jay Wright. Now it's Jim Boeheim. These are titans of the sport. These are faces that even if you didn't know players, even if you hadn't watched a college basketball game all season, when you tune into March and you see Coach K on the sideline, Roy Williams, Jim Boeheim, Jay Wright, you know those guys. You've got some context of those guys. You know you're watching a Hall of Fame head coach right there. You know that guy's had a lot of success. Those have been the faces of college basketball for decades. Because players are no longer staying 3 and 4 years, and because college basketball is not minting superstars like it used to in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, the coaches became the faces of the sport. And now those faces are gone. So let's look at this Sweet 16 and note the popularity void the power void. And who fills that power void? You've got one legendary head coach. You've got a second who's probably well on his way to becoming a legendary head coach. And then a tier of guys scrapping and fighting for that elusive national championship. I'm going to rank for you my top 5 head coaches left in the Sweet 16. It is where we begin. Your cold open.
My assistants did a hell of a job. I think that's what happens. Kids were focused, did a hell of a job. Everybody had some fun doing it. I just can't tell you how excited I am for them.
Oh, man, we beat a really, really, really good TCU team tonight. They are athletic, they're strong, they're quick, they're smart. They really move the ball extremely well. They're very, very well coached. So it's just a heck of a win, and I'm ecstatic for these guys. Get to another Sweet 16. That's 8 in a row, which is just an incredible testament by our program of what we've been able to do these last 8 years.
It's great. Our guys were disappointed about the way they played Friday, so we were really ready to show that this is Miami basketball. We're very hard to guard.
I don't believe it!
The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending.
It's DA's top story.
Here he goes!
It's your cold open.
All right. That was Tom Izzo, Mark Few, Jim Larinaga. Let's start with the number 5, and that would be Miami head coach Jim Larinaga. Now, he's not going to enter the pantheon of legendary coaches. He's already 73 years old. But Jim Larinaga's had a couple of really successful stops. One at George Mason, where, remember, he took George Mason all the way to the Final Four. And then also now at Miami, he's been there for over a decade. So Jim Larinaga will be my number 5. He has 1 Elite 8 and 1 Final Four. Those are 2 different seasons. The Final Four with George Mason, the Elite 8 with Miami. He'd be my number 5. My number 4 would be Sean Miller, Xavier. Now, Sean Miller was kind of run out of town at Arizona. There was the investigation, NCAA probing, but also Arizona fans felt like he kept slipping up in March and Elite 8s weren't good enough. Sean Miller has never made a Final Four, but he has had 4 Elite 8 trips between Xavier and Arizona. This is his second stop at Xavier. So Sean Miller is one of those guys who's still young enough to be in the game for a really long time. He's already been to 4 Elite 8s. If he wins a national championship this year with Xavier, gets to a Final Four finally, he could then move into that tier of 5, 6, 7 years, Sean Miller being one of those power coaches. My number 3 head coach left in the Sweet 16, Kelvin Sampson. Kelvin Sampson obviously ran into major trouble at Oklahoma. And what happened at Oklahoma, show cause, recruiting violations, texting violations, all that type of stuff can't be ignored. But he's been at this thing for a long time. Washington State, Oklahoma, Indiana, and Houston. The guy's been to 2 Elite 8s and 2 different Final Fours. He's got a 1 seed this year. Now, he's 67 years old, but if Kelvin Sampson ends up with a national championship this year, at the very least a Final Four, Sampson, I think, ushers in, you kind of know him. He's been around for a while. He's one of the familiar head coaches in college basketball, and Houston clearly is now becoming a power program year in, year out within the college basketball landscape. So Sampson's number 3, and Sampson with a title this year vaults himself into a different category. I think you know the top 2. Number 2 is Mark Few, and Few doesn't have that national championship yet. Mark Few obviously is seeking something that it's been elusive for a really, really long time for him. But when you look at Mark Few's tenure at Gonzaga. It's ridiculous. This guy's been to the Elite Eight a number of times. This guy's been to the Sweet 16 8 straight years. He's been to the national championship game twice. He's been to the final game at Gonzaga 2 different times, unable to cut down the nets, but he's had 30-win seasons, 33-win seasons. There was this 37-win year of 2017. I mean, he's a monster. And so even though few coaches at a small school in the Pacific Northwest, Gonzaga has become the West Coast power program. UCLA is very good this year. Arizona's had a lot of promise. But at the end of the day, who do you watch on the West Coast to know you're going to see elite basketball year in, year out? Is Gonzaga. It ain't USC. It's not UCLA. It's nobody in the Bay Area. It ain't Arizona yet. It's still Gonzaga. So, Few's number 2, and number 1's the guy that has the national championship. It's been 23 years, but he has the last Big Ten title, and that's Tom Izzo, who year in, year out continues to churn through rosters, players, both NBA lottery picks and non-NBA lottery picks, and they always have the same exact type of team in East Lansing. Physical, humble, grind it out, beat you up, Big Ten. He has embodied the Big Ten more than anybody else. And now with all of the other legends who have retired, it feels like Izzo is one of the last, that he is the dinosaur. He carries over from the Plesiozoic era. He was one of the guys that walked with the other giants and now is still here. Izzo's the best coach left of the Sweet 16. 855-212-4CBS or on Twitter, DA on CBS. Here's your tip-offs on Thursday. Izzo and Michigan State take on Kansas State, Arkansas, UConn, FAU, Tennessee, Gonzaga, UCLA. Mick Cronin would be just on the outside of my top 5. Obviously going to the Final Four the other year, but still looking to crack into that elite class, although he's done a really good job at UCLA and done a good job everywhere he's been, actually. It's a Trash Tuesday, my friends, so let's cook up some trashes, shall we? Who is it or what is it that's bugging you? At 855-212-4CBS or on Twitter, DA on CBS. When we come back here on the show, we've got Sound Check. And yesterday, Mraz created a lot of waves when he claimed that America should be rooting against Princeton. That smart guys shouldn't also have athletic success. That it's too much good stuff happening to one person. They're being greedy. And by and large, Mraz was smacked down for that take. However, is it possible he wasn't the only sports talk radio host in this building that had that take? Mraz's Misery Loves Company next. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Here's Fireman Ed.
J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets.
Let's go, Jets. Let's go, Jets.
Is Mick Jagger now?
Brown sugar, why don't you feel so good?
Let's go, Jets.
Brown sugar.
Let's go, Jets.
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 Thank you, Jack.
J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets.
Let's go, Jets.
Let's go, Jets.
then just takes him and throws him over the balcony.
Start me up.
Let's go, Jets.
Start me up.
Start me up, Aaron. Let's go, Jets.
It's so succulent
Gary
and
Wilson
delicious.
gonna catch the passes. Stop me up.
Kai Horton.
Here's Fireman Ed.
J-E-T-S.
3 minutes remaining.
He's hurt again. Oh, wait, who is it?
Durant.
Thanks for listening, guys. Full-time invention, Ed.
4 to 6 weeks. Enjoy the pine, buddy. Enjoy the pine. Thank you for Mikal Bridges. Enjoy that pine. Eat that, Phoenix. Eat it. He's hurt again.
Make sure you tell the one you want to be with how deeply you love their soul. You let them know Air Wood is coming to pick them up on a Friday night. Gotta take you back to the team facility. Rub you down with a new contract offer. Circumvent that cap. Because when Air Wood lands on your landing strip,
And there it goes.
when Air Wood comes to pick you up, you know the trip is all taken care of. Free nuts with every trip. Can I help you with another bottle of water?
How about those baggage fees?
Pour it all over you. Will that bag fit in the overhead bin? Oh, plenty of room on Air Wood. This could be a long cross-continental flight.
45 seconds remaining.
Make sure you take off your shoes and get real comfortable. Right now, families with children and senior citizens are boarding.
Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
CBS presents this program in color.
An educated person can't think he's going to get a recruit by strippers coming in.
They can fire you, but they can't eat you.
And they run through our ass like through a tin horn, man, and we could not stop them.
The audio you need to hear. It's DA's Soundcheck.
The DA Show each and every morning is available on your phone. You can listen to us, streaming us with the free Odyssey app or the free CBS Sports app, or watching us on the YouTube app. Go to the CBS Sports Radio channel there. All right, Soundcheck begins with Kirby Smart, head coach of the two-time defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs, longtime assistant coach under Nick Saban, and of course, very friendly with the one and only Bill Belichick.
Well, they get where the 40-yard dash is. Y'all have all seen those guys with the tights on, stretching, and the guy they got behind them where the thing starts at, where they start them at. I was like, why are we here? You can't time the finish. You can't do it. He said, no, Bill likes to look to see how big their ass is when they get in down the 40-yard stance because he wants to sign the biggest ass defensive lineman that he can sign.
Not a bad scouting report, honestly. If you're looking at defensive linemen, what do you need? You need low center of gravity. You need a rocket booster, hopefully from behind. You need to be able to move guys out of the way or shed blockers. How about a big rump? That's a pretty easy way to identify it, right?
It is. It's just startling to hear that that's what Bill Belichick's looking for. Is like that how Vince Wilfork got drafted? Because of his big derriere?
Big their ass is.
And he kept really stressing ass.
Ass is.
He says it very fun, though.
Big ass. They were looking for a big ass.
Ass is.
Bill was trying to find how big his ass was.
Big their ass is.
Ass. He really elongates that ass. Didn't say butt. Didn't say rump. Didn't say rear end. Didn't say derriere. Didn't say caboose. Said ass.
Ass.
That big ass.
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 I love a good Southern drawl because it can create a one-syllable word into a three-syllable word.
Ass.
Ass. A big ol' ass. All right, here's Virginia Tech fans at the women's NCAA tournament. Now, at this tournament, the home teams can't play their usual regular season imaging for home court advantage purposes. Note that in the first 2 rounds of the women's bracket, it's all true home games. Then Sweet 16 neutral site. So to try to keep it a competitive level playing field, they can't play Enter Sandman. But the fans in Blacksburg begin singing it in unison. That's amazing.
That's pretty damn good.
That sounds just like a real huge European soccer match.
Right. How do they get them to do this at the women's tournament? How do they all, like, who's the first guy that goes, all right, 1, 2, 3? Like, that is amazing organization.
Well, if you go to, let's just say, an MLS match this summer in your hometown or your region or city, what you'll see in the supporter section is there is 1 or 2 people that are down at the base of the supporter section looking up to the fans. And sometimes they have megaphones, or sometimes they have cones in front of them, and they start exactly what you're talking about, Mraz. 1, 2, 3, and then they start with the chant. And so everybody's doing it in unison, and I'm guessing this is how it happens in Europe as well. And when you are in a stadium, and it's not music being played and people singing along, but it's actually the people singing the chant or the song, it gives you goosebumps. It is so awesome. And a great soccer facility with a great singing supporter section of the whole stadium. Dude, it's awesome. It's incredible.
Yeah, I find that amazing. Amazing. Now, I do have to ask, though, that person leading the chant, loser or not a loser? It's cool. The end result is cool.
No, not a loser, because through my travels at MLS, I've had a chance to interview some of them, talk to some of them, and I think they're pretty cool. I don't think they're Fireman Eds. I think they're pretty
that's
cool.
what I was going to say. Fireman Ed, who leads the real Jet chant, not the Jack Stern Jet chant.
Let's go Jets. Let's go Jets.
You don't want Jack Stern at the base, but we don't really view Fireman Ed as an awesome dude.
No, I feel like the soccer supporter section people are a little bit, dare I say, more normal than Fireman Ed?
I mean, some of those folks are roughnecks. I wouldn't tell them that they were losers to their face. They might come and get you. Some of those groups are tough.
At its core, doesn't it feel a little odd that you want to be I'm gonna be the chant guy?
I don't mind chant guy. You know what? I don't mind chant guy. I don't know why. I don't mind chant guy.
He's sitting around the office all day going, I can't wait to go there and start the chant. I have a big day today. I lead the big chant.
I think I have a bigger problem with the grown adult men who wear face paint and oversized shoulder pads. And
I agree.
The Seahawk guy that has like the Seahawk head on top of him.
Right, just wear a hat.
I think I have got more issue with that guy. I don't think I mind chant guy now that I think of it.
So I'm with you that I actually have more of an issue with guy who puts the whole costume on. Just throw a jersey and a hat on, or a t-shirt hat on, sweatshirt hat on. You putting the whole thing on. Even the Raider fans, and honestly, all due respect, because now I've been there, the Dog Pound fans, it looks cool on TV, but it screams get a life.
Oh, sweet love of mine.
Oh, dear God. And Sean, had you gone...
And you know what? Hold on. Now that I think about it, too, why are we scared of the black hole in the dog pound? Why is it scary?
Well,
the guy who puts a dog mask on or the spiky, he's going to stab you with the spiked shoulder pads?
Well,
They're not actually scary.
Yeah, I don't think when you go to the black hole or when you did in Oakland, you were worried about the guy with the spiky shoulder pads. You were worried about the people that didn't have the shoulder pads that actually had the shanks.
Well, no, that I understand.
There was real violence that happened to the black hole.
But they portrayed it as if those guys are so loud and scary. Really, I mean,
that was more of a thriller video.
Yeah.
I think it was the upper deck at the black hole that you had to worry about.
Yeah, like those people. I mean, the guy who takes time to put on the shoulder pads in the morning.
That's not the people you worry about. The people that you worry about are the people that you don't do that and are really there to rough people up.
Yeah, I mean, those people I'd avoid, sure.
Yeah, but you don't know who to avoid. That's the problem. They're not the ones with dog bones in their mouth.
Right, those people. You're sick.
And I was going to say, Sean, had you gotten accepted to Duke,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure they have pregame meetings, the student section, of what they're going to chant.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a full-on operation. You'd be surprised by how much planning goes into this.
I've tried to be like the defense chant guy, and then I realized years later, why am I doing that? Why am I doing that?
I'm a defense.
You get older, you look back, you go, don't do that. Don't be that guy.
It is interesting because, Mraz, you're not many layers of fandom removed from being the ultimate body paint, face paint, lead the cheer type of guy.
I mean, I like like if I'm in the garden, I like getting up, giving a "Let's Go Rangers," see if I get the crowd up or whatever. But
you get everybody up.
But I mean, how many?
But I'm not gonna I just throw a jersey on and a hat. I'm not looking to do that.
But how many layers are you away from being putty? I mean, not many, right?
In front of the building.
I don't like paint in general.
Okay. Well, that would be a hindrance.
Yeah,
but you do wear Giants blue head to toe, including the helmet ski cap. I mean, you're like, DA's not wrong
no,
here.
and I wear the matching socks with the pants, and I actually just ordered joggers that look like the Giants pants. So, I guess, but I think when you put the shoulder pads on, you've gone too far.
You're just not. Oh my God! You're just not at the stadium. That's the only difference.
No, when I go to the stadium, I am far from the craziest one there.
Holy my
I like to match.
Nah.
Not crazy at all.
There's a little part of that that sounds a little bit like Pat Boyle singing the Marquette fight song. Yeah. So, and finally, yesterday, Mraz's take on Princeton was we should all root against them as a country because we should not be happy for somebody that has both athletic, academic, and potential wealth. So here is actually Craig Carton, afternoon host on WFAN here in New York, in our building, who might have a very similar take.
I hate Princeton.
Excuse me?
I hate Princeton.
Why would you say that?
Such a fine institution. I'd rather FDU make the run into the Sweet 16 than Princeton.
Why?
Well, for one obvious reason. The kids at Princeton are going to be successful in life financially. Like, they're smart kids, they're good-looking kids. Don't they have enough? Let the dumb kids at FDU or FAU for a matter. Like, the acceptance rate's 85%. The acceptance rate at Princeton is 4%. Let the dumb kids that go to Boca because they're stupid, let them win a couple rounds of games. Like, don't these rich, privileged kids have enough good things going for them?
Well, first of all,
it pisses me off.
Let me defend my semi-alma mater. My wife was not privileged.
It's not your
She didn't come from money, and she worked her ass off to get to Princeton, which a lot of people do.
Yeah.
So let's stand up for the little guy and the little gal who worked their way up to get to the Ivy League.
Yeah.
Princeton.
Yeah, first off, the little guy ain't Princeton. All right, the little guy is FDU.
Carden Roberts on WFAN. That is basically word for word Mraz's take.
That was my point. That was the whole take. I mean, he crafted it better, but that was the point. They have enough. They shouldn't get a run in Sweet 16.
He had stats.
The acceptance rate was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good stat to break out.
He also had time since, I was early in the morning and the afternoon to come together more with stuff.
When Craig says it, it has doesn't have some validity here, guys?
Not bad.
But again,
Pete flipped.
Pete flipped. We flipped Pete. He was Pennsylvania.
You can say you'd rather FDU win without saying that America should be rooting against Princeton. Because, as Evan said, Princeton's not necessarily all full of just rich, annoying people. And the idea that FDU is just lugging 12 dummies through a basketball court is not true either.
But it's closer to true than not true.
No, it's not.
You don't think?
No, I don't think FDU is made of dumb people. No, I don't think that.
Dude, I went to a commuter school. I'm dumb, and I was one of the smartest people there.
They made a mistake.
Well, but when Craig cites those acceptance rates, that's
not intelligence. That's the amount of people who want to go there.
But it's also the bar that is set for who can go there.
Well, it's also the bar set of it's how many people want to go there. They need X amount of students. So if only 10 apply, they're going to take 9 of them.
But I mean, you would agree that...
No, I'm not going to agree that FDU is full of dumb people. I'm not going to agree to that.
Well, if one school has a 4% acceptance rate and one has an 85% acceptance rate, wouldn't you say the one with the 85% acceptance rate has more dumb people?
I would say... I mean, by ratio, okay, but they're not full of dumb people. They're not all charity cases at FDU. Well, why are you acting like that?
They're average students.
Right, they're regular people.
But you can't, hold on. Can you be dumb and get into Princeton?
No. Unless you're a legacy kid.
Can you be dumb and get into FDU?
Of course.
No, I bet you couldn't get into FDU.
Oh, I bet you I could.
Okay.
You know what? Why don't I apply?
Challenge accepted.
Go apply. Have fun.
But I mean, I guess the point is that if there is a community college that has to take you, right, they can't turn anybody away.
Which is not Fairleigh Dickinson University.
Agreed. But
so why'd you say community college?
Because this is a comparison. We would say that school has more dumb people than Harvard, just by nature of its acceptance rate.
Whatever colleges Sean went to, yes, there are more dumb people there. There are more Seans there, but that's not what FDU is.
Applicants at FDU are required to have a minimum GPA of 2.7.
No, you're not there.
No, like 2.7?
That's still like 3/4 of an oink too high for you.
That is not a smart school.
But it's okay that it's not a smart school. That I'm not criticizing that.
Yes, that's the point. We're rooting for them because of that.
Just because it feels more relatable.
But this is what I don't like. This is the part of Bogus's argument back that I can't stand. Of course, there are outliers in every single school, of course. But when you have a take like that, nobody wants to hear the take, I'm rooting against Princeton. But by the way, the 17 people that work their ass off that, aren't rich or whatever, I'm rooting for you. Unfortunately, you have to have, the bounds of, what I mean when I mean Princeton, I'm not rooting against them. Of course there are outliers. I'm not saying those people suck. And, of course, when you say everybody, we don't mean every single person. You have to understand there needs to be a little bit of a broad brush. Otherwise, there's no take.
Or there could be no take is the alternate.
Because you're not going to tell me how I feel. As I felt watching
You've been telling me how to feel. Your whole point is telling me how to feel.
I am telling you how to feel. When you watch them win the first round, all right, that's fine. It's a 15
You can't tell me how to feel, but I'm going to tell you that you should root against
Because when they take the court,
I don't know anyone on the team or their history, but they suck.
I'm just saying, shame on you and everybody else when they took the court versus Mizzou going, what a great story. It's not a great story. Those kids don't deserve this.
Okay.
Maybe someone else should make the pitch, like Craig.
Can I ask this? Evan has an interesting point there. Do you claim your wife's school as an alma mater?
No.
No, he said what did he say? Partial, my half,
partial.
My alternate alma mater?
But he didn't do the work. It's not even a partial.
I think you said partial. Can you do that?
No.
So, no, you can't say that, but it's no different than you sitting down with your wife and watching a Kentucky basketball game. So I guess it's similar.
But I would never say it's my partial alma
You could be a fan of it. Like, I'm a fan of Providence because Bridget went there, into it.
Yeah.
But I'm not an alma mater.
You can be a fan, but you cannot claim it in any way.
Right. I mean, you reference, like, when you have a Kentucky take, you always mention her because it affects your knowledge of the situation.
Right.
So that's all he was doing, was just pointing out he lives with a person who's not what Sean hates about Princeton.
Okay.
Bottom line is this: the take has caught fire, and everybody agrees. We need to boo these kids big time this weekend.
Excellent point by Craig.
My favorite part of that segment was 2.7, and Pete going, "You're not there."
I can get in with a 2.7.
Not now.
Yeah, you could get in with a 2.7 if you had a 2.7.
Right.
Did you have a 2.7 come out of high school?
You guys remember, I was on the honor roll coming out of high school.
Everyone was on the honor roll.
Honor roll was 9th grade.
So you got to remember, my GPA went by grades. I had about an 83 to an 85 overall GPA. What does that equate to?
That's in the 3s, I think.
Okay, so thank you. I could get into FDU. Was I getting into Princeton? No. They suck. Boom.
But that was back then.
Okay, yeah, everybody gets dumber as they get older.
So it's right at the line.
Do they?
Yes, because you're not doing the homework anymore. There's so much you learn in school that you no longer need that you just honestly either bury in the back of your mind or forget about because it was so useless. I need to know, who's playing first base for the Diamondbacks. I don't need to know.
You don't know that
either. As I say that, I don't know. Who's the kid they signed, the rookie of the year guy?
You don't even know who's on the good teams in baseball.
Too.
The Dodgers have played more games of importance than anyone else. You're like,
fielders.
where's Trey Turner?
Mraz didn't know where Trey Turner was.
No, I had him and Justin Turner confused because they were both Dodgers, and that's not right.
Neither on the Dodgers
You
anymore.
should not have the same last name, play for the same team, and then go elsewhere.
Another rule.
It does. He gets confused. Justin Turner was the one with the beard that got hit in the face.
Gotta tell me how to think again.
FDU is just upped its GPA requirements.
But also,
to 0.1 more than you had to keep you out.
Here's the other thing. You have not taken the SAT.
No. I did.
Please don't, Pete. I'm already angry enough. Let's not do this again.
There's no chance he's getting in
You
these
can
places.
no longer say I never took the SATs. I was there.
He could have a 4, and there's no chance he's getting
Oliver
in
Luck saw me take them.
You know what? In the decade of DA, we really need to relive that.
No,
you taking the SAT.
don't.
That past two, that was Valentine's Day.
Well, primarily because Chicken Pesto Lady was coaching him wearing sexy teacher glasses and like a mini skirt.
Well, and then primarily we still have not settled it because you, for some reason, choose to have a 6-year-old take on the situation.
Well, look, I didn't have my best day when it mattered most. Scoring the SAT. I will admit that.
You also can't get an FDU.
He was right. I love when Bogus gets unrealistically angry about silly things.
It's the best.
Slam. Oh.
Well, you're making a silly
No,
point.
I won't agree with you.
You're making a silly point.
The SAT. That was a moment in time. Andrew Bogish is a kind sir. He does have our headlines.
And they are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. So,
Hey, M-U, rah-rah. Hey, M-U, rah-rah.
Holy God!
So Pete hates the World Baseball Classic more than Sean hates Princeton, but much like those Tigers, the baseball tourney doesn't deserve it.
Cracked in the air, deep center field. Thomas on the move. It's off the wall. Ohtani's in to score. Here comes the winning run. Japan turns it around on its last breath.
Joe Davis on FS1.
That's as excited as I've ever heard Joe Davis.
Japan winning a thriller with Mexico 6-5, setting up a final showdown with the U.S. tonight in Miami.
Isn't that a little unfair? Japan had to play last night, the U.S. 2 nights ago. Well, no day off in Japan?
The Team USA played their quarterfinal and their semi back-to-back, which Japan didn't.
Gotcha.
If that makes it any
It's a one-game
level.
championship?
Yeah, that's it. Tonight, and they're done.
Thank God.
Mexico can work from home tomorrow.
Mexico led 3-0 and 5-3 last night, but allowed
hold that bullet until Friday.
Game-ending 2-run double. In a rarity, the Golden State Warriors won on the road last night.
Kuminga dribbles to no advantage, gets it up top to Draymond. Back to Kuminga, catches in traffic, floats it over to Curry. Pump fake, flyby, 3-ball, got it!
Wow.
What a play by Jonathan Kuminga.
Tim Roy, Warriors Radio. Kuminga setting up one of 5 threes from Steph Curry. He scored 30 in the 121-108 win in Houston. The Dubs had lost 11 in a row on the road. This just their 8th win away from home this season. The Grizzlies rallied for a 112-108 win over the Mavs with Ja Morant on the bench for the first time since playing with a gun in a Denver nightclub earlier this month. Ja could play tomorrow night against the Rockets. The Kings lost in Utah 128-120. The Sixers' 8-game win streak ending in double overtime 109-105 to the Bulls. And the T-Wolves outscored the Knicks at the Garden 140-134 despite 57 points from Julius Randle. St. John's has officially hired Rick Pitino.
57 from Randle, and they lost.
It's the first Knick game I watched in a long stretch for a long time, and it was absolute insanity in that game. There was no defense. There was no missed shots. Guys hitting off-balance threes, contested threes, dunking on each other. 140-134.
Torian Prince gave his life. By the way, Kay Adams sitting courtside had no idea who Bobby Bacala from The Sopranos was sitting next to him. Big story last night.
Yeah, and drinking a Bud Heavy.
Yeah.
A lot of flexing.
Wow, Bud Heavy?
Yeah.
That's the story.
Right.
Yeah, me and Bogues were locked into Twitter last night.
Wow, you can buy a Bud Heavy at MSG?
Of course.
Yeah, Bud Heavy tall boys.
For the blue-collar people like Sean, they need their Bud Heavies.
Bud Heavy's making a big rally comeback here.
I thought it was all domestic light beers.
No.
Maybe a Heineken.
No, people
I'm
love
surprised
Bud
about
Heavy.
the Bud Heavy. Bud Diesel? Wow.
I'd be drinking a bottle of vodka after that loss. Did you score all those points and lose?
No, you wouldn't. It's too expensive.
Yeah, that's true.
Are we already in a Bud Heavy renaissance, Sean? Is this the other year of Bud Heavy?
I just know my neighbor drinks a 12-pack of them a day.
Yeah, but he's not a good gauge.
Maybe. I'm around it a lot now. My buddy started drinking Bud Heavy.
12-pack a day?
It's a rally. Yeah, Dave drinks a 12-pack a day.
His neighbor Dave drinks a 12er of Bud Diesel a day.
18 on a football Sunday.
Oh, my.
And that's every day. Doesn't take a day off.
Right. And that's 144 ounces, right? 12 ounces in a can?
Yeah.
Does anybody in this room drink 144 ounces of any liquid in a day?
No way.
Zero. This guy's just putting
Chris
beers
Williamson
back.
tried with the water.
No way. That's so much liquid.
Oh, he's big. I mean, he's a big dude.
Is there a medic near that house?
We live by 2 hospitals.
I can't believe you live by someone less healthy than you.
That's impossible.
Right next door. It's one thing when your friends come over, but this guy's right next door.
I've come home and he's been at my bar without me home drinking.
That's called breaking
I
and
literally
entering.
said it's an open gate policy. He throws on my TV.
I want to call somebody for that. Or get a lock.
His name's Dave?
Yeah, Dancing Dave, yeah.
Dancing Dave. Dancing Dave.
It's not dancing, it's the shakes.
He won't be dancing much anytime soon.
That's called liver failure. It's not dancing.
He's in his mid-60s. I mean, what are you going to do?
Or 90.
What are you going to do?
One of my best friends became a guy in his mid-60s that drinks 12 Budweisers a day.
He's actually 24.
I was going to say.
He just graduated high school.
Right. He got an FDU.
You might be startled to hear. He's 18.
Where were we? Oh, yeah, St. John's, Rick Pitino. And Ed Cooley goes from Providence to Georgetown. He is the first Hoyas coach since 1972 that wasn't John Thompson or someone connected to him. The women, meanwhile, completed their Sweet 16 last night and lost another 1 seed. Indiana going down at home to 9-seeded Miami, 70-68. The Hurricanes survived the first weekend for the first time since 1992.
Wow.
UConn, meanwhile, in its 29th consecutive Sweet 16 after dropping Baylor 77-58. Roger Goodell expected to get a multi-year extension next week when owners meet in Phoenix. Exact financial terms not clear, but Goodell will remain grossly overpaid, the highest paid commissioner that we've got. The Texans staying busy by adding Cowboys tight end Dalton Schultz and Bills running back Devin Singletary. Buffalo replacing him with Patriots running back Damian Harris. And on ice, the Avalanche on a 6-game run after blanking Chicago 5-0. And Ottawa got its first win in Pittsburgh since April of 2014, 2-1. DA, back to you.
Thank you, Bogues. The Defensive Player of the Week, sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD, veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Bogues just mentioned this. Steph Curry, 2 steals and a block in the Warriors' 121-108 win over the Rockets last night. Curry, 30 points in 37 minutes of action. When we come back, why we don't believe Adam Thielen. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
The conversation is a clerical error. See, but you're laughing, and this is why.
Because you need to establish that before the test is taken.
And I'll tell you this.
I'm sorry that DA didn't know how to follow directions. I'll apologize for him since he won't.
Here's what I think. Had I graded this the way that you want me to grade it?
No, not the way. Don't spin it that way. Stop presenting like this is me being a sore loser. This is me telling you did it wrong.
Had I
factually did it wrong.
Had I graded this the way that I did it last night and came back with a 930, you would not be saying you scored it wrong. You just accept the 930.
If you scored it correctly, I wouldn't have an argument. Exactly.
No.
I'm just saying, had I added the essay and it came out to be a bad grade, you'd be like, yeah, that's fine.
Well, because
it wouldn't be about...
Great point, DA.
No, okay, a good point, fine, but because it wouldn't have piqued my interest that his score was high. If you came to me and said he got an 850, I would have not given it a second thought because it would have fit in what I expected him to do because I took the under on 800 in our bet earlier this week. So when he got 1110, I went, and then I looked at the website to see about grading, and it says you don't count the essay, and you counted the essay.
Can I just say one thing? Because, Bogus, I'm actually not denying what you're saying. What I'm saying is this process doesn't seem to make any sense that there would be a separate SAT grade for a essay that you didn't put up.
Feel free to argue against colleges then. That's not for today either.
I think there's got to be out there a listener that works in college admissions. There has to be. We're all over.
Has to be.
And let us know, do you grade an essay, even if it's next week? We need to have the answer to this. Do you ask for people's SATs and go, well, the score was this, but at least they took the essay? Because this seems so out of whack that that's the system now.
Also, I will admit, I think 1110's inflated, and I said all the reasons why. I think that this was a mini SAT. I could see the grades going down as I went through this and checked it. Had there been 150 questions instead of 75 questions, it would have been lower. Had he not had a singular tutor holding his hand, it would have been lower. Had I not happenstance given him an essay that he really liked, because who knew that he liked Pure Darkness, and this was a study on Pure Darkness, he would have gotten lower. Do I believe he's an 1110 student? I do not. If he took this in high school, would he get an 1110? Absolutely not. I believe he's more like a 930, a 950, a 960. I believe he's in the mid-9s. It just so happened, on this day, the 07 Giants beat the 07 Patriots, and we don't take away that title.
Yes, thank you, you don't.
How are you doing this right now?
No, because he's right.
How are you missing the point?
He's a 9-7 team. He just happened to win the championship.
I got hot at the right time.
But guess what? He's David Tyree that didn't make the catch.
Go get him, Bogus.
He's somebody covering Plaxico Burress. You're arguing hypotheticals here when they're not hypotheticals. The fact is, you added his score correctly. You failed your math portion of yesterday's SAT. However, whatever number you gave him for that writing part does not get put on top of the math and the reading score to give you one score.
That's right.
Whether Sean's argument about whether it's valid or not for the college admissions process, that's a whole separate thing. It's plain and simple. And everyone's yelling at me for being frustrated because the two of you are just ignoring something that can't be ignored. You added incorrectly. You just did.
I didn't add incorrectly. I might have added essay points.
Stop talking about might.
The math wasn't incorrect.
You did it wrong.
No, I added correctly. I want my work is shown here. It is correct. What I might have done is added more points than he deserved.
Stop saying might. You had 3 numbers that you put together to get one score, and that's not how you do it.
I thought I read that's how you do it.
But it's not.
I thought I read
it. That's not how you do it.
PrepScholar.com told me. I thought there was three numbers. It was very confusing.
PrepScholar.com said it. I would also say there is a groundswell in the newsroom of Twitter who people now think for 8 years I have been putting on a show, and people think I might actually be the smartest one here.
Oh, no, see, that was one tweet from Mike Biseglia, and that was sarcastic.
Now tweets that people think that I am this smart.
Well, that's clearly wrong.
Maybe I am.
I have 8 years of evidence otherwise.
4,000 drops that say it.
You got that at collegepreptutor.com?
We have 14 and a half minutes of a Year of the Buffoon montage that would claim otherwise. If you have graded SATs, please let us know, does the essay count towards the final total score?
Why are you asking people this question? I have sent you the link from the people that prep you for the SAT.
Folks.
That show you. No.
Folks, I'm writing sports minutes. I'm doing target demo. I haven't had a chance to look at your link.
Okay. The link solves your question, answers your question. Our good friend Joe D solves your question.
Okay.
More laughs per capita than any other sports radio show. It's DA on CBS Sports Radio.
Hey, check out my new episode of New York Accent, which drops today. Episode 3 with newly minted Hall of Famer Joe Klecko. Some cool, never-before-told stories of a Hall of Fame career. He made Pro Bowl at 3 different defensive line positions, defensive tackle, defensive end, and nose tackle. But I specifically like talking to him about his battles in the trenches during the 80s and how he actually played semi-pro ball before he went to Temple University. He played semi-pro, like sandlot football, and because it was paid and he didn't want to lose his eligibility for college, he had to play under an assumed name. He had a fake name, fake identity to play in this semi-pro football league. So pretty cool stories. New York Accent is my podcast, long-form interviews with former athletes, and you can check that out all places that podcasts are available. Subscribe and rate and review it if you could. That helps other people find it. Adam Thielen signed with the Carolina Panthers and tells Pat McAfee the reason was he had no intention of signing with the Panthers until he visited. And then he sat down with the coaching staff, Frank Reich and company, sat down with Andy Dalton, who is the caretaker at quarterback until they have their rookie QB who they draft number 1 overall ready to go, and said that sold him. All right, totally fine. You know, they gave him $13 million guaranteed in a 3-year, $22 million deal, so that certainly helps. But understandably, you don't know what to believe about a team until you sit down with the power brokers, the quarterback, the head coach, and then you feel better about it. I'm fine with that. Again, the $14 million guaranteed is probably the biggest reason, but that's fine. But then Thielen has to go ahead and say the thing that we all know is a lie. And that's just a shame. He says, I wanted to go somewhere to win and to win a Super Bowl. And I walked away from my meeting in Carolina saying, this is the place. He had the audacity to say, I really feel like we can win the Super Bowl. Now, I don't think Adam Thielen is a bald-faced liar, but this is a lie. Because there's no way you could walk into Carolina and go, yeah, this is a Super Bowl contending team. They don't even have their quarterback on the roster that you would win the Super Bowl with. You know, Dalton's not going to be that guy. So you have to still draft the kid that you would win the Super Bowl with. He's not even on the roster yet. You don't know who he is. He hasn't taken a snap for your team. He's the guy throwing you the football. It just goes to show you what you can trick your mind into believing. It's like Roger Clemens saying, I never took steroids. It was just a B12 shot. It's just like George Costanza. It's not a lie if you believe it. Adam Thielen went to Carolina. They gave him the biggest paycheck, and then he could convince himself, and we can win here. Because you don't want to just go and take a paycheck and not have a chance to win. You don't want it to be just about the money. That would feel frivolous and you know, shallow. But there's just no way you could walk into Carolina and say this team has a Super Bowl possibility to it. You can't. That's not realistic. Liar. When we come back here on the show, are the Texans quietly having a great offseason?
You're in a 5-minute break.
shockingly, your strength was math and reading comprehension was the problem.
I guessed on half the math.
In fact, not once but twice did you get 5 in a row incorrect in reading comprehension.
What?
No way! In the shock of all shocks.
No, I know I did right. They were pointing to lines.
I couldn't believe it. Let me tell you. Math with no calculator, you were actually solid. You got more than half of those correct. Math with a calculator, you crushed. You got 90% of your answers correct with the calculator.
How about that? And a hot take for you, I never once used a calculator yesterday.
I don't know how it happened.
I did it all just by pen and paper.
But let me tell you that even though you got 5 incorrect in 2 different portions of reading comprehension, at one point in time, you got 4 straight correct, and then 2 other times you got 3 straight correct. Reading comprehension was decent. It was not great.
I thought it was great.
Math with calculator, great. Math without calculator, good. The essay, very good.
Is that right?
Your punctuation wasn't tremendous, but this was more about you making your case.
And referencing the points made. That was key.
That's exactly right. In the essay, it was not supposed to be whether you agreed or disagreed with the writer. Instead, it was about supporting whether he made the proper case or saying that he did not use the right citations. Here's how it broke down. In a shocking turn of events, on a math, you got a 580.
Okay.
On reading comprehension, you got a 210.
Okay.
But on the essay,
you
got a 340, which means you nailed an 1110 on the SAT. Boo! You got the 1100.
And where's the 100 for writing my name?
I use the scale at prepscholar.com. It's kind of a sliding scale that you use with weighted scores. It took me quite a while. I mean, the science behind scoring this thing is actually pretty difficult. But if you look, I did all of this math on here. I mean, I'm grading all of this. It's ridiculous. I mean, I've got notes about where and when you did use the right citations, improper grammar, all of these things. But, buddy, I'm so proud of you. I can't believe how well you scored. I have to say, I think without Miss Murtaugh, it's an extra 150 points lower. And I think without that essay specifically, it's another 50 points lower. I think the essay and the proctor added 200 points to this. I think you were probably at low 900s, so you would have went over anyway in my estimation.
But you know what? Every championship needs a little luck.
There's no question.
Here we go.
You idiots! I'll give it to you now. The stuffing serves as the bread. You're going to have Thanksgiving leftover sandwiches with stuffing waffle bread, like sliders. But you don't let me finish.
45 seconds.
You think I'm just making stuffing and waffles? Of course not, you morons. It's turkey. It's cranberry sauce in between 2 waffle stuffing pans. That's going to be the food, and now you ruined it. Thinking I'm boiling water in a waffle maker. Just let me do my job. I'm the food guy. One dipsy doodle, and we've lost our mind. You have turkey for 4 days. I'm giving you something different here.
Bro, wait.
Screwed up. I don't want to say the wrong thing because it's not Scranton. I'm pretty sure I'm going to Scrotum, Pennsylvania. I got chicken parm problems here.
And his name's Chicken Parm Lou?
So much so that I don't know if Lou's his first name or his last name. I just know he's Chicken Parm Lou and he's my producer.
And he's the head.
Have a good day, and all
mornings are hard, your sports radio show doesn't have to be.
I'm so happy you guys are still alive.
I am excited.
I am so happy.
Laugh and learn every morning aboard the mothership.
Ooh. Have a good day. And all my homies gonna ride today. And all these mommies look fly today. And all we wanna do is get by today. Hey, we're gonna have a good day.
It's gonna be a good day with DA.
Hey, duh.
I do love the duh.
Happy Being Alive Day.
Mornings on CBS Sports Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah! Happy Being Alive Day, everybody. Thanks so much for being with us. Good day to you. Coming up in 20 minutes, we've got Trash Tuesday. Send us your trashes at DA on CBS. We'll take our trash out coming up in 20. In 40 minutes, how badly has Jalen Carter's stock fallen in the NFL draft? But first, how about these Houston Texans? Not a bad offseason. The Texans yesterday signed Bills running back Devin Singletary to a one-year deal. They also signed Cowboys tight end Dalton Schultz to a one-year deal. Remember, earlier this week, well, actually, I guess late last week, they got wide receiver Brandon Cooks from the Cowboys. I should say they traded Brandon Cooks to the Cowboys, so they were able to shed some of that salary. And they got back a 5th rounder and a 6th rounder. And they just ponied up for Laramie Tunsil to be the highest paid offensive lineman in the NFL. And the Houston Texans might not have the number 1 pick overall in the draft, but they're sitting pretty in the NFL draft with a couple of picks in the first round. When you look at where the Texans are, they'll pick number 2, so they'll have some quarterback still on the board for them. The Texans are quietly having a pretty damn good draft. Damn good offseason, rather. And I wonder if this is finally, the after effects of getting Nick Caserio there. You know, Caserio had a lot of respect around the NFL for his years as an assistant in the front office with the New England Patriots, but obviously he was never the guy because the GM of that building, of that franchise, is obviously Bill Belichick. But Caserio came in with a lot of credibility. But early on, it just didn't seem like he quite knew what he was doing, or maybe he just had to shed some of the old stuff that Bill O'Brien dug a hole with. I mean, first of all, you had Deshaun Watson, and he did not want to play any longer with the Houston Texans. And so you had to trade Deshaun Watson. But what they got back for Watson was a haul from the Cleveland Browns. He also had to recoup some draft picks because Bill O'Brien had traded them all away. And so then the front office were able to get some of those draft picks back. Also, you had Jumpin' Jack Easterby, who was maneuvering, navigating, manipulating his way through the front office. Who knows why, who knows how, but was able to rise up through the food chain to where Cal McNair, Tommy Boy, gave him acting GM role, even though he had no experience as a front office person. They finally got rid of him last year. And now you add a running back at a one-year deal who's been very productive in Buffalo. You shed most of the contract. You had to eat some of it of Brandon Cooks, but you get back a couple of late-round draft picks. I think Dalton Schultz is a good option for just 1 year. No harm, no foul there, no big risk. You lock in Laramie Tunsil, who's been a great offensive lineman, and you have the number 2 and number 12 pick in the NFL draft. You could potentially get your franchise QB and a franchise wide receiver. I've seen some people say they'll get Bryce Young at number 2 and then a wide receiver like Jordan Addison at number 12. Not a bad draft. Not a bad central point to begin trying to win again. Now, do they have the right head coach? That's huge, but I love DeMeco Ryans. I mean, I think that the Texans kind of stepped in a bucket of you-know-what because DeMeco just had loyalty to that organization. But DeMeco, to me, was the best assistant coach available, best coordinator available to become a head coach. And the Texans got him. So I love what they have at head coach. I like some of these short-term deals they've signed. They've got a great offensive lineman that they lock in for another couple of years. And they have number 2 and number 12 of the draft. The only thing that screwed them over was Lovie Smith going for 2 in week 18, or else they would have had the number 1 pick in the draft, number 1 and 12. Other than that, everything has kind of broken the Texans' way, and they've made a lot of that happen. And I don't know, dare I say I like the Houston Texans offseason? Whereas, dare I say it, I like the Texans offseason.
I don't think it's a bad take, DA. And matter of fact, dare I say, they might have had the best offseason to date. The best offseason to date. Think about everything they've done. Even getting rid of Brandon Cooks, who was so disgruntled and angry and upset with the organization because they shopped him last year and didn't tell him he wasn't there for the rebuild. Well, it's not as if they got rid of Brandon Cooks and got worse at wide receiver. They also added Robert Woods, who had a little bit of a down year off the injury with the Titans. He only played 1 year with the Titans. I think that'll be significant. Noah Brown, I think, is somebody coming over from Dallas that, now could take that next step. I think the Cowboys may have actually downgraded. I think Noah Brown could have been taking that step as a deep threat there. And Dalton Schultz and Singletary to go then, of course, with already having Pierce, those are going to be rookie quarterbacks' best friends. Those are, solid run game, sure-handed tight end. And they, in my opinion, probably nailed the head coach, too. Somebody who actually wanted to coach the Houston Texans, which is hard to do. So, and taking care of Laramie Tunsil sends a message to within all those players, we will take care of our own. Doesn't mean they're going to be a playoff team this year, but could they be, become what we think the Bears are about to become with Justin Fields and all the assets here? If they take that quarterback, we're talking about 2 years down the line. I think they could compete, especially in a division where, despite the rise of the Jaguars, should be continue to be open the next couple of years.
They have to hit on this QB. And again, Lovie Smith winning that ball game, week 18, screwed him over. Because they could have had their pick of the draft, and now they've got to have the number 2 pick of the quarterbacks. So they have to do that. That's a huge if. We all know if there's multiple franchise QBs in your draft, it's a big draft. Sometimes there's only one, sometimes there's none. So it's a big ask, it's a big if. But if the Texans do hit on their quarterback at number 2 this year and get another franchise guy at number 12, they had a damn good offseason. It's not damn good yet, but it would be damn good if they could find that. And they have now 12 picks in this year's draft. 12. They have 2 1s, 2 3s, 2 7s, and 3 picks in the 6th. Now, 3 in the 6th, 2 in the 7th, nobody really cares about. But you can potentially package those to move up into the 5th round or something like that. Or you take a few flyers and one hit to the 7th round like a Brock Purdy. 12 picks in the upcoming draft from a franchise that had no picks because Bill O'Brien traded them all away and sunk cost with a bunch of bad free agent signings. Cacero's done a pretty good job so far. Not going to put the cart before the horse, or the cart before the cow in this case. But pretty good offseason for the Texans.
Why the cow?
Well, that's on their helmet.
I don't think that's a cow. I think it's a horse.
No.
Or like a bull?
Yeah, it's a steer.
A steer. Yeah, so it's not a cow, it's a steer.
It's right, it's a male cow.
Okay. I didn't know steers were cows.
It's a
like you can milk a steer?
No, they can't be milked because they're male.
So the cows that we see in the pastures that are white, black, with the udders that you squeeze and yank, those are the females. Is that you milking a cow?
Yes.
Have you ever milked a cow?
No.
You ever want to milk a cow?
No.
I'd be into it.
No, you would.
Why not? That's kind of a cool... If I'm going to do anything with an animal, I'd rather milk a cow than ride a horse.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Because riding a horse, you're up in a saddle. It's what John Wayne and old cowboys and Native Americans used to do.
Men.
John Wayne sucks. I don't want to be John Wayne.
Noble warriors of the lands overlooking Braveheart. You're on a horse. You're like, I mean, you are really in this kind of catbird seat. And also you can run with a horse. I mean, that's the air, the breeze in your hair, the wind in your face. Instead, you want to grab a couple of udders and squirt?
Yeah.
You want to sit underneath a bovine's rear end and squirt into a pail?
Yeah. I want to massage the udders, and I want milk squirting out everywhere. I want to get into the bucket. Here's the thing. I would be scared. I'd fall off a horse. I don't like the speed of the horse. Grasping an udder and squirting milk in there, knowing I could drink it later on, that's what I want. Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather get on a steer and don't have to ride it, get on a steer?
Well, what am I going to do when I'm on it?
Or milk a cow.
No, milking a cow is probably one of the top animal things I want to do in my life.
Being on a steer would be scary. That's
like bull riding.
Yeah, that's like bull riding, rodeo stuff.
I was on a steer in Texas.
You were on a steer?
Yeah, I didn't ride around it, but it was like it was one of these complexes that had just a steer there, and hey, you want to get on the steer? So you get on the steer, you take a picture, and then you get off the steer.
And what's the steer doing? Just kind of hanging out?
Just hanging out. Just tied up.
So you hurt its back while it's tied up so you could take a picture? See, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to hurt an animal. I want to milk.
So once you squirted it in that bucket, would you just take a palm full and splash it in your face?
So I don't know the answer to this. I don't know if it then needs to be filtered through something to clear out maybe some cow fat. But if they tell me, hey, you're all clear, little squirt of Bisquick right in there, slosh it around, fresh chocolate milk.
What do you mean? You mean Nesquik?
Isn't Bisquick a bottle too?
No, Bisquick is the pancakes.
Bosco,
yes.
Bosco and Nesquik. I think I mix those with Bisquick. Yeah, so you do a little that right in there.
Your
big, little solo cup.
Your big pail of raw cow milk.
Aren't we taught farm to table? Aren't we taught that that's the freshest, most delicious time?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't milk fresh out of Daisy the cow's udder, squirted with a little Bosco, be the best chocolate milk you ever had in your life?
It might be.
You know what I mean? I bet you in Wisconsin, people are dunking their face in buckets and drinking the chocolate milk like that. We don't get that here.
That's exactly what they're doing.
And the fact that Bogusch hasn't run in here tells me I'm right.
Oh, he's just tired of it.
Yeah. You know when Mraz is horribly wrong when Bogusch runs in here like Schwartz oversleeping an update. Swings open the door. Mraz, you are so wrong on this.
Yeah, he's not. I bet you I'm right. No, farm to table. It's all about farm to table now. And that's what I want.
It is a Trash Tuesday, so hit us up with your trashes. 855-212-4CBS. Dixieland Dan has a trash from Dixieland. What's up, Dano?
DA, permission to come aboard.
Permission granted.
All right, man. I want to trash this situation that happened in my house last week.
Oh, no.
So we have a new puppy in our house. Our daughter wanted a puppy. We thought she was old enough, so we got a puppy. So last week, I am laying in the bed, sound asleep. I go to bed earlier than my wife and daughter, and I am woken up by this god-awful racket. So I go running in the living room, and see, what had happened was the new puppy decided to take a big old number 2 right in the middle of the living room floor.
Ooh.
So my daughter, who is 6, being the big girl she thinks she is going to clean it up. So she goes, gets the paper towels, starts cleaning it up.
Okay.
When she picks it up, the smell hit her. And when the smell hit her, she started gagging.
Oh, boy.
So my wife started hollering at her, run to the bathroom. Oh, she did. She turned, flung the paper towel across the living room, made it to the hallway, proceeded to throw up in my floor.
Oh.
So my wife runs over, picks her up, heads to the bathroom. The combined smells hit my wife.
No.
She starts throwing up on the floor.
No.
So I run into the living room to the sight of my wife holding a vomit-covered child who is vomiting in the floor herself. So now at 10:30 at night, I'm sitting there having to clean it up.
Oh.
There is throw up everywhere. There is dog poop on my walls.
Oh.
It was a shed show. And, man, it was just horrible. And now I got to clean it up because I've got an iron stomach. And smells don't bother me, but oh my God, it was a disaster, dude.
Oh, God.
And that's all I got today, man. I figured y'all get a good kick out of that one, so I'll holler at y'all later, man.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
Okay.
I'm getting queasy.
Oh, it's rough. Oh, man. So the puppy does his business, middle of the room. Daughter comes in to clean it up, gets the stench, begins to vomit. Now you've got number 2 and vomit on the floor. Wife comes in to clean both of them up. She smells both. She starts vomiting.
Yeah, well, and also the number 2 got flung because the daughter was so disgusted by it. So that's what hit the wall. I'd sell the house.
And I love Dixieland Dan going, I got an iron stomach. But I got an iron stomach.
You got to open the windows. That's a big air out situation.
Oh, my God. And if it's a cold day, a cold night or something like that, and you've got to open up the windows, because, I'm going to say this. It could be a slightly controversial opinion. I think the smell of vomit is worse than the smell of poo-poo.
Next Sports Minute.
Honestly,
when you get bad vom, not just a little bit, but a bad one, it's so rancid and pungent. We all have that smell stuck in our nostrils. It's kind of like...
You're not wrong.
It's like a hot, spicy honeydew waft. It's just something...
Is that the new Buffalo Wild Wings flavor?
It's really... It's like something deep within us. It's just rancid. Maybe it's because you smell it much more rarely than number 2, but I feel like I've smelled all kinds of number 2s going to outhouses and porta johns and cleaning up pet, cleaning out litter boxes, following Mraz from inside a bathroom. I feel like I've smelled it all.
Mraz in the control room.
But a bad vomit situation is just like, it stings the nostrils. It stuns you. It's a stun gun. Oh. Wow.
I don't think that's at its worst. I think that's the way to say it. At its peak worst, I think you're right. Although a bad airport 2 smelling room, I think tops the world.
Specifically in the airport?
Yeah, there's something about travel bubble guts, let's call them.
Nervous travelers.
Yeah.
Train stations.
Nervous morning travelers.
Off like Arby's in the airport. Yeah, it's bad. Couple delays. It just stinks in there.
Yeah, and the problem also, unless you get one of these newly refurbished airports where they're undergoing, beautiful renovations or whatever, there's just not a lot of pride amongst airport janitorial services to keep them clean.
Oh, the old LaGuardia was the worst. It's like going to the old Boston Garden.
I don't think the salary matches the need.
Exactly. I don't blame them. They're dealing with what all day long. But just the 3 airports in New York, LaGuardia, JFK, and Newark. You get to some of those stalls, you're like, whoa. This looks like,
everyone's inconsiderate. It's
a
awful.
War zone. But this happens across the country in airports again that are kind of outdated, and that just the bathroom staff is just like whatever. It's kind of like that mixture of ammonia and everybody's morning nervousness.
Oh.
It's really bad.
Said that for years about poopery.
It's really bad. The don't care janitorial staff of outdated airports is also, not only bathrooms, but like the luggage service people. When you get to an airport where nobody cares, it's a desolate place. It really is. It is really a dystopia.
Tumbleweed of toilet paper going through.
It really is. It just looks yellow and brown. Everything is a tinge of yellow and brown. The bathroom, the luggage, the hallways. Everything's got like that bad lighting.
Yeah.
Where it's all like...
And the constant sound of hand-drying blowers and automatic flushers almost clashing with each other like a Dave Matthews medley.
Yeah, and then you walk out, and there's like the old tattered carpet from 1976.
Yep.
You're like, this looked good in Three's Company days, but I'm still walking on it. It's bad. The sandwiches underneath the heat lamp look really...
What airport are you at?
A heat lamp.
A heat lamp and a Three's Company carpet?
Yeah.
He was wearing a suit, smoking a cigarette on the flight.
Let me tell you, you ain't never seen a carpet like Orlando International. You ever see that carpet? That Orlando carpet has been tracked on for decades by every snot-nosed kid and chocolate-covered parent that wants to go to Disney or SeaWorld or whatever. I'm telling you, that carpet has been trampled to death. It's got stains in it from the Carter administration.
You got to find a Tampa and drive the 2 hours.
It is brutal. But, I mean, before Newark got that Terminal A, honestly, there was a few bathrooms, like down near the luggage carousel, where you open up the door, you're like, is this a closet or is this a bathroom? Am I going to walk onto the tarmac if I open up this door? And then it's like those weird aluminum doors where the latches don't work anymore.
Yeah.
The hook is broken off. The light above is like zapping.
Oh, I've done that. You have to sit with one leg extended to hold the door closed.
Yes. It's Fallujah over there if you want to go to the bathroom. It's brutal.
Remind me to pass on Newark.
No, are you kidding me?
ETA had sushi in the Newark airport once. He's like, this looks good. I'm like, what?
Sushi?
This is not the place you get sushi.
There weren't a lot of options.
Get a sandwich.
There weren't a lot of options.
A bag of peanuts, maybe.
The sushi actually was okay.
It ended up not being bad.
It was not bad.
It was not bad.
When we come back on the show, we've got a Trash Tuesday lined up for you. DA, CBS Sports Radio. Now, you were in some ways, admissions as the athletic director of West Virginia. So any tips for our young producer, Sean Mraz, here as he takes the SAT?
Well, he's focused. I like that. I like the fact he's using pencil because there's a lot of erasering going on, if that's such a word. And I think he's doing pretty well. He would probably get into my alma mater. Right?
Okay.
If they let me in, then I'm sure they'd let Mraz in.
Stanford's a problem, I think.
Stanford might be a stretch. Safe school, though, buddy. Safe school. Just remember that.
So I see you have come bearing gifts here.
Yes, we have. I know that you feel a little bit like a jilted lover when it comes to spring leagues, right? And you've been disappointed and let down before because all spring leagues, sort of like men are pigs, ultimately. So I decided in an affirmation of our faith in the XFL and our staying power that I would bring you a couple of early Valentine Day gifts.
Look
so
at
this is from one man to another. A little bit of man love, a little bit of bromance.
This is really sweet of you guys. You know how to win us over. Food. There's a giant red Valentine full of chocolates. And now Mraz is going to be completely distracted because there is like 50 different chocolates. Mraz, you want one of these? Okay, I'm going to throw you one. He got it. That's good hands. He could probably make the Guardians practice squad. So there is a giant, if you're watching, giant heart full of chocolates. And
that's right. And a little teddy bear for you to cuddle with when you're disappointed in any particular result of the inaugural XFL season.
So I'm going to give you a little secret here. We felt very burned by the Alliance. Last year, we put our heart and soul into it. We did a highlight show, Alliance Primetime. We all chose our teams, wore the gear, and it obviously went away before they even got to the postseason. So we were saying, you know what, the XFL, we're just going to let them do whatever they want to do. We're going to be out on this. We'll let them exist without our, affection. And yesterday I said, guys, honestly, who's watching the XFL this weekend? And we all sheepishly rose our hand and said, yeah, we'll be watching.
Nothing to be ashamed about.
Well, only not because we don't think the football can be good, because we saw the football. It was good in the Alliance.
It was.
It's what drew us to it. It was good football, and it filled the void. And if you guys have most of the same caliber of players or many of the same players from that league, same amount of teams, I would imagine the football should probably be pretty good.
I'm convinced, based on what I saw in training camp, we had all of our 8 teams down in Houston for about 3 weeks in January. I'm convinced, based on what I saw, that we're going to have some pretty good football. We've got a good caliber of player, I think a notch better, if you will, than the Alliance. And that's in large part because we were able to get some better quarterbacks, right? Quarterbacks are first among equals in the game of football. You need good quarterback play to have good overall play. So getting a guy like Matt McGloin, who'll be the starter for the Guardians, or Cardale Jones, or Josh Johnson, right? Those are guys that I think the Alliance was interested in, quite honestly, but for whatever reason couldn't, close the deal. So I think the quarterback play is going to set us apart from where the Alliance was. And you're right, the Alliance was pretty darn good football. I enjoyed watching it.
XFL Commissioner Oliver Luck in studio with us as the XFL debuts on Saturday and Sunday. 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday. Let me ask you about the pay scale. Will you guys be paying more for players than the Alliance did, and is that part of the reason you were able to get bigger-name quarterbacks?
We're not paying more. For a number of players, we are paying more than the Alliance. For the typical player, they'll make about the same as they made in the Alliance. The one thing that's different with us, and this is a carryover, if you will, from 2001, the original XFL, there's a victory bonus. So players are paid more when they win a game. And I think that's going to be a great sort of motivator in the locker room. Imagine the halftime talk. Hey, I got a car payment coming up. We got to win this damn game and pick up a couple extra $1,000. Yeah. No, dead serious, right?
Yeah.
That's something that I think is important. We kind of forget about that, but these guys are not only motivated to play well for their own, futures, if you will, but for real issues that are coming up, like a bill's got to get paid on Monday.
You guys have a very good television package, which is crucial in something like this. You have both Fox and ESPN, Fox Network and FS1, and ABC and ESPN all broadcasting games. Those are big platforms. I think part of the reason the Alliance could have fallen hard last year was that some of their games were only digital only. But last year, the Alliance did primetime games. You guys will not be doing primetime games, at least not this weekend. What's the reason for putting all the games?
So, what's eating you?
People that get in the left lane and drive the speed limit. I gotta trash the NFL, man.
Trash my ex-girlfriend.
You want me to trash that?
Trash Tuesday, my favorite day of the week, not for nothing.
Time to vent. We take it out like the trash. It's Trash Tuesday.
All right. Who or what are we trashing? Tweet at me, DA on CBS, or on the phones at 855-212-4227. Mraz, who are you trashing?
DA, I'm trashing rude parents that teach their kids how to be rude kids, okay? Ooh. Loaded up the kids, went to a birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese, an establishment like no other on Saturday. 4 kids' birthday parties running simultaneously. Boy. All right, a couple 4-year-old birthdays, a couple 3-year-old birthdays. So you can imagine how many kids around that age are in this place going nuts. Here's my issue, though. Everybody gets their little unlimited wristbands, all the games, all the little rides. They have fine time. However, it's so packed. All these kids at a birthday party, and you have these parents standing with their kids, letting them just hog the machines. Look, if they play a game and they finish the game, you don't let them get to go 4 times in a row as a line is building up.
Right.
You see, all the kids are just like your kids. They're all looking to play. You only have the hour and a half or whatever is it, thankfully, for this birthday party. How about teach your kids how to share? All right, somebody else's time, Johnny, let's go. But they would rather not hear the kids scream and move them along to the next machine. This happened like 4 times. Taylor got screwed out of playing 4 things she wanted to play because parents, sorry, they're going to go again. It was like 4 times in a row.
You can't go again. There is no go again.
Yeah, you don't own the toy. Like, you don't own the draft ride. You don't, just because
sorry, they're going to go again?
Yeah, you get the unlimited card. People think they can do whatever. Come on.
Rude.
There's a million things to do. Let everybody do a little bit of everything. You don't need to hog it. I'm telling you, one person stayed on this stupid draft ride, Taylor, on the ride. I counted it. 36 minutes.
Oh, no.
Come on. Because she's going to scream if I take her off, she tells me. Oh, really? She's going to scream.
Well, my kid's going to scream if she doesn't get on there.
Exactly.
Oh, what terrible parenting.
Get these people out.
Trash.
Please keep your social distancing.
Nothing wrong with kids. It's the parents.
But this is where the kids learn the entitlement is because of that. My mom says I could do it, so of course I could do it. No, not over my watch. 1 game of skee ball, you're done. Now off to the next thing.
Done for the day. Get out of here, kid.
Oh, get lost.
A pint-sized loser. You're out of here.
Go have some pizza. Oh. Where's that mouse?
Go find a pizza mouse right now.
Hey,
my girl wants to go to the giraffe ride. Hey, look, half pint, you're out of here.
Everybody's playing skee ball over there. Go over there.
I got a secret, Mikey. There's a guy in that suit, not a real mouse.
Hey, Junior, move it along to the pizza rat.
Let's go.
Go, move.
Over here.
Hey, go slam your face in a double crust, okay? My girl wants to do the giraffe ride now.
Why don't you go win some 200 tickets over in that big machine over there? Oh.
Get yourself a nice slap bracelet or something, kid.
They did have those 35 tokens.
How about a spider ring? You get it for 10 tokens. Oh. How about a Tootsie Roll?
It's fun. Spider goes up, spider goes down, spider goes to see the mouse with the pizza. Now go. Move. Itsy bitsy, you're out of here.
Here's a couple of jawbreakers. Have a nice day. Oh.
Spider ring goes up the spout, you go with it. Let's go.
Hey.
Basically, it's Andrew Dice Clay at Chuck E. Cheese. Pete the Body, who are you trashing?
I am trashing businesses that open up with no parking. There's so many places in my area, in my neighborhood, supermarkets, restaurants that have maybe small parking lots or maybe 6 spots. One restaurant has 6 spots in front of it, in front of the building. How are you expected to go there if it's a packed house? What am I going to walk across 5 blocks to go to a little restaurant? Get lost. If you're going to open up a business, have appropriate parking in appropriate places. Get them out.
I smell rotten eggs.
The bogus sigh after every beat trash is my favorite.
Well, he knows I'm right.
No, I don't.
He knows I'm right. All right, Trader Joe's in Oceanside. He'll know that.
Yeah, I mean, but what do you want
Our
them to
audience
do?
knows Trader Joe's.
All right, fine. Trader Joe's in our area, it has 4 lanes of parking. A small lot, 4 lanes of parking. But not only Trader Joe's in that shopping complex, there's about 5 other places, including a deli.
Right, but like,
how are you gonna?
That's the constraints of the lot. Like, what do you want them to do? Build a double-decker parking
build
garage?
another lot, or open up somewhere where there's appropriate parking. How do you expect people to shop there? Constant in and out. It's ridiculous. People can get hurt.
Oh, safety first.
I'm not wrong.
AB, who are you trashing?
I'm going to stay in-house today and trash. While we have made tremendous strides in the coffee game in this building, our vending machines have now taken a turn for the worse.
Speaking of a war zone, what has happened with those?
They're empty. They are constantly having bags of chips stuck. You can't shake them free, or like the coil gets out of whack, so there's an empty space and then something, so you can't get to that one. I lost $1 yesterday. They're just a mess. They're an absolute mess. I don't know who's in charge of that.
It's like they're not being serviced anymore.
Right, and they used to be all the time. And the one in particular that has the good stuff in our break room is completely useless. They're just straight stealing money.
Yeah,
and I don't know who's in charge of that, but it's a disaster.
At one time, I put $1 in. It ate my $1. I asked the person, hey, I lost $1. No response. I couldn't get the $1 back.
Yeah, it's weird because it's not even like they have broken card swipe or just the money taking. They're not restocking it.
No.
It's just like they've left them to deteriorate like an old payphone.
That's it. Yeah, I think that's it. I think whatever you get, that last bag of Chex Mix and the Juicy Fruit, that's it.
That's it. That's it. They're never going to restock our 3 candy machines.
And you know what happened? Pandemic. Schwartz stopped coming in. I mean, he was half the business.
And the problem, too, is some of the prices are absurd.
Yeah, they're getting weird, like $1.75. What's $1.75?
Right. Everything needs to be $1.
So $3 for something in there.
I will overpay something at $1 if it's only 75 cents, as long as something that's for $1.25 is also $1.
Right.
Just make everything $1.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But unfortunately, this is it, guys. You know, bring in your own snacks. Can't
Honestly,
rely on the vending machine
what's the new zombie show? The End of Us or something?
Oh, Last of Us.
Last of Us. That's what's going on out there.
You don't even know what the show's about.
No, I don't.
Close enough. Good job.
Thank you.
He did the Momentous Monday on it. That's the only reason he knows the show.
What's that?
Okay.
Oh, that's true. That is true. This is a simple one, but it's complicated to explain, I think. You know when you get a bag of snacks? In this case, it was a bag of peanuts. And it has the seal, which is supposed to be, you can reseal it, open it, close it, reseal it. And then you tear off the top to get to the seal, open it.
Yeah.
And I've had this happen now multiple times. You tear the top off to get to the seal, and you can't get to the seal.
I've never been happier for a trash than this.
Okay.
This needs to be addressed.
I think we must be making these bags in China or the moon or somewhere where there's no like customer service or there's no whatever. There's no compliance on what is actually happening. Nobody's testing this. You tear off the top, but it's not deep enough to get to where you would open up the seal.
Yeah.
And so you just end up like prying apart the bag. And I had this wonderful bag of peanuts that I was going to snack on this morning in the car on the way here.
Peanuts at 5 a.m.?
What's wrong with that?
Man,
they're unsalted.
You are
They're
unhinged.
unsalted.
Unhinged.
That's a good snack. Unsalted nuts, that's a good snack.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And so I tear off the bag, and now it is sitting in my lap, and I cannot actually get to the peanuts. So I end up gnawing through the side of it and then getting under it, and then it just tears the whole top off. And now I have an unsealable trash bag of peanuts.
You're not wrong, to Bogus's point, but there's an easy solution. I've just dealt with this so many times. I just cut it open right at the finest point of the seal, and then it seals back up. I don't even trust tearing it open anymore.
Just eat the whole bag.
Or what?
Just eat the whole bag.
Or eat the whole bag at once.
But you're right. This is a problem that needs to be addressed. Because I've even, instead of gnawing through them, I'll sort of like just try to pull it open, and then you break the resealable things. Now the whole bag is completely useless. It's there. It's got the perforation, and still somehow it's not good enough. It's like they're messing with us.
It's so weird because it's the only thing the bag is supposed to do, and it doesn't work. So trash it.
Charlie Sheen just dumped that on the set of Men at Work.
That's a classically good trash, though, because that's something everybody can relate to. We've all seen it. It's happening everywhere. It's not just one. It's not just the peanuts. It's the peanut butter M&Ms. It's everything.
Oh, these nuts.
Oh.
Hey, yo. Jeffrey tweets, I'm trashing Affleck for putting Coach K in those March Madness commercials. Dude couldn't act wet in a monsoon. And while I'm at it, Dawn Staley wasn't much better. Get them out.
Ooh, that garbage bag is leaking.
Arnold Bogus.
Ragnar Razorback is trashing every coach who didn't take off their shirt like an animal after their round of 32 win. Hashtag must bust.
That deserves a trash can emoji.
Tyler tweets, remind Mraz, chocolate milk only comes from brown cows. Starship Kodiak is trashing cauliflower rice. It's supposed to be a healthy replacement when all it is a trick to get me to eat more veggies. Give me the real thing. Hashtag have fun with your food.
Is Oscar the Grouch living in there?
I don't mind cauliflower rice.
Me neither.
I think it's fine. I don't think it's equal to regular rice, but it's a fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not rice, but if you're like going to mix it into something where it's just adding like the texture, it's a good, I think it's a good replacement for rice.
I think so. Stormin Norman's trashing himself and his work family for being normal, dysfunctional selves as we're struggling to do things we normally do well together. Hashtag Trash Tuesday.
It's the landfill. Overnights in El Paso.
Tucson.
With Big Baby. And Steven in South Carolina trashing GPS on his phone. I have to travel to Charlotte for work. It's supposed to take the back way to avoid downtown Charlotte. This time it did not. During rush hour, I had to drive my work truck through there and was late after hitting all of the traffic.
That's just offensive.
I'm going to add in Rob of the 321. He's trashing his cat, Jackson. Hasn't learned his lesson yet. He likes to drink from the pool. As you can probably guess by now, he fell into the 45-degree pool. This dope will one day learn his lesson, hopefully. Trash him.
Illegal dumping.
Jackson the cat looks like a very nice cat sleeping peacefully on a recliner. Oh, yeah. And we're going to call him a dope?
Wouldn't you want to drink chlorine and fall into freezing temperatures if you had to live with Rob?
It's a cry for help from Jackson. He thought he was poisoning himself. Didn't work, so he went for the full drown.
No more SpongeBob. Yeah. the Sesame Street character. Please, no. Yeah. How many times can you tweet Mraz today? No. Yeah. Okay. AB has headlines.
So last night at the Garden, Julius Randle scored like Pete between marriages or like Boyle on any given night.
Knicks do not have to foul here. And they get the turnover. Brunson to Randle. Randle on the drive, goes inside. Bank shot is good, and the foul. Julius Randle with a chance for a three-point play.
Mike Breen on MSG TV. That three-point play gave Randle a career-high 57 points, the most by any Knick since Carmelo back in 2014.
Wow.
But they came in a 140-134 loss to the T-Wolves. Head coach Tom Thibodeau.
It's a shame to, waste a performance like that. He scored the ball. You couldn't ask for anything more, but we were careless with the ball. We turned the ball over.
Minnesota shot 61%, highlighted by Taurean Prince scoring 35, 12 of 13 from the floor. The Warriors, meanwhile, snapped their 11-game road skid, 121-108 in Houston. The Bulls outlasted the Sixers, 109-105 in double OT to snap Philly's 8-game win streak. The Kings losing in Utah, 128-120 after the Grizz down the Mavs, 112-108. So Memphis takes sole possession of second in the West. The Grizz, by the way, hopeful that Ja Morant returns from his sabbatical/suspension tomorrow against the Rockets. And Lonzo Ball had the third surgery in 14 months on his left knee yesterday. It was a cartilage replacement, which apparently gives Lonzo the best chance of playing again at all. Magic Johnson's reportedly joined the group led by Josh Harris, trying to buy the Commanders. Harris already owns the Sixers and the Devils. Magic, meanwhile, part of another group that lost the bidding for the Broncos
So
last
does this
year.
mean that they're definitely being sold? Because I thought that was still kind of a nebulous thing.
Well, I think people are trying to buy them, but we still need Dan Snyder to actually give them up.
Yeah, so how can you publicly make it known I want to buy a team that might not be for sale?
Because I thought the last conspiracy theory was he wants a price that he knows he can't get, so therefore he won't be able to say yes to all of these people. But then again, there was a report the other day that he was starting to clean things out, like clean his office out, or somebody was taking things out of the facility.
Last time I heard, I had thought he was still holding on to the, no one's ever going to take this team away from me.
Oh, no, I mean, they're technically for sale. Whether he actually signs away the
see.
team, I think, remains the issue, or
Gotcha.
how involved he stays.
Gotcha.
It is 29 consecutive Sweet 16s for UConn women's basketball, courtesy of a 77-58 home win over Baylor. Villanova getting this far for the first time since 2003 with a 76-57 home win over FGCU. Maddie Siegrist scored 31. Japan erasing an early 3-0 hold and a late 5-3 deficit. A walk-off 6-5 win over Mexico to join the U.S. in the WBC final tonight. Shohei Ohtani says he could pitch out of the bullpen, which could mean facing teammate Mike Trout. And on ice, the Kings hammered the Flames 8-2 to join the Golden Knights atop the Pacific Division. 4 points behind them are the Oilers.
Nugent Hopkins taken into the corner, but a pass up the right wing to Nurse. He's got a line to the net. He'll come in. The shot scores! Darnell Nurse ends the game in overtime. Oilers win 5-4.
Jack Michaels, Oilers radio, Darnell Nurse, the overtime ending, man. Again, a 5-4 win.
Oh, that is
over the Sharks.
A lot of potential there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of potential.
You taking mental notes?
I am, and I don't want to spoil him, but Nurse, I hope he scores 17 times in the playoffs.
That's why I left it alone. Didn't want to steal
Thank
any
you.
of your possible material or Boyle's better ones. DA, I'm done.
Thank you, folks. When we come back here on the show, how badly has Jalen Carter's stock fallen? DA, CBS Sports Radio.
Now, Trace Atkinson.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Honky-tonk, ba-donk-a-donk. Keep you rolling, and the country's on, ba-donk-a-donk, honky-tonk, ba-donk-a-donk. That song.
Yeah, that one.
And then the very soft, you're gonna miss this. I'll
probably be okay.
You're gonna miss this.
Next London game. Waffle iron, some cinnamon buns, throw like some eggs on top, little sliders for your London 9 a.m.
Why
kickoff.
can't you think of these things?
Look how easy that was.
I'm going to walk out of here in 2 seconds. I said, give me 2 weeks for what's coming on Thanksgiving.
You want stuffing? You're just going to make stuffing?
With eggs on top?
I can make stuffing. Yeah, it's a water to the stovetop thing. The box
You idiots! I'll give it to you now. The stuffing serves as the bread. You're going to have Thanksgiving leftover sandwiches with stuffing waffle bread, like sliders, but you don't let me finish. You think I'm just making stuffing and waffles? Of course not, you morons.
You applied to Duke because you like to watch basketball games at Cameron Indoor. And you applied to Duke because you thought it would be cool to go to a game in person. You took one of the most prestigious academic institutions and said, I want to go there because I'd like to see a game there.
It's going to explode in your mouth. It's a disgrace on so many levels.
You like that, big boy?
No! Really,
Those are his three.
Oh,
God. That's his underwear that the loser of the NIT bracket has to wear.
Which is warranted. No problem with that. But we've built this league, I think, in a pretty traditional, fairly sensible fashion. And that's the sort of my guidance, my marching orders from Vince. And I think people will see that as we kick off, on Saturday.
You think the NFL is rooting for you, apathetic, or against you?
Well, I'll quote Roger Goodell, who was on a show, I guess, Sunday morning of the Super Bowl, and he basically was asked about the XFL, and he said, listen, we see it as a positive. People are investing money in our game of football, and that's a good sign, certainly, given all the challenges that the sport has. So I think at the end of the day, folks at the league office, folks, at the 32 teams, I think they're rooting for us because they'd like to see as much football as possible. And I do know personnel people, they'll love this league because they'll be watching every one of our players. And we had a bundle of scouts come down to Houston for our training camp. We've already accredited probably almost every team in terms of the games this weekend. So the scouts and personnel folks will be following us very closely.
Last year we had Ebersol on before week 1. I said, "Are you nervous?" He goes, "Are you kidding me? I'm really, really nervous." Are you nervous?
I'm actually not. This sort of reminds me of being a player. And you go through camp and you prepare and you've got your opening day week and you're the starting quarterback and you've got your chance to to shine. And if you're confident in what you've done, you have sort of a nice quiet level of a little bit of anxiety, of course, a few butterflies, but I feel really good that our coaches and players are going to respond with really good football.
So Saturday at 2:00 Eastern time, first game is on what network? ABC, and then 5 o'clock Eastern time is the second part of the doubleheader?
Correct.
And then that's going to be on Fox?
That's going to be on Fox, and that is Houston hosting the L.A. Wildcats. So June Jones and his run-and-shoot offense against Winston Moss, former great linebacker, against Norm Chow as well. Norm Chow is calling plays for L.A., so that should be a pretty entertaining game. Yeah, I see two offenses that can move the ball pretty well.
And then 2 and 5 Eastern time on Sunday as well. Those will be the FS
30 seconds remaining.
That's right.
So it's an easy place to find football this week, and I got to say, your stick-to-itiveness, your ability as a league, and you yourself, Oliver, to continue to break down our walls is much appreciated because you've got 4 or 5 football diehards in here that will be watching football this week.
In 5 seconds. Though, is Mraz going to be finished with the SAT by then? Jeez.
I don't know. He's hit a wall here. I think that. I like handling meat.
DA on CBS Sports Radio.
I do. Can I say? Like a big Boston butt, a big pulled pork shank, a big piece of meat, big old full chicken, big turkey, I love handling it. I love throwing it on the grill, throwing it in the smoker, stuffing it. I don't know what that is. I think, honestly, I could have been a butcher.
I don't know. I don't think you would have liked the butchering part of it, though.
No, I would not have liked skinning or the guts part. But
it's a big part.
But slicing.
End part.
You would have liked being the person that does the register at the butcher shop.
Or, take a slab. How much do you need? I need 2 pounds. Okay. We're wrapping the steak, the T-bone.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the light lifting.
Yeah, the light butcher stuff. Yeah. Kind of like the finishing. I'm kind of like the special teams of butchers.
The Matthew Slater?
I just come in for the extra point.
Oh, okay. Right.
Welcome back. DA with you here on CBS Sports Radio. Thanks so much for joining us. And brand new episode of New York Accent is out as we speak. Newly minted Hall of Famer Joe Klecko. Some really fun stories behind the scenes of his long career. His storied career took him 35 years to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Finally got the call back in January, so hopefully you enjoy that. It's available all places that you get your podcasts. Brand new episode out today. Subscribe, rate, and review. Jalen Carter has, quote, a lot going on right now, according to former Browns GM Michael Lombardi, and that there's concern about Carter's draft stock. Number one, he could have been the number one pick in the draft. He was, by most accounts, the most impressive pass rusher, most impressive non-quarterback in this draft. And then the speeding and the car crash and the deaths that surrounded that and his actions cast a pall over his whole draft stock situation. And so Jalen Carter, who was drag racing with other people from the program on the night after they won the national championship, were celebrating that, ends up, there's a car crash. He survives. He flees the scene. He does not come back knowing that there are teammates of his that are going to die from injuries. He, of course, didn't know how severe it was, I'm sure, but comes back, talks to authorities, lies about it. Anyway, that comes to light via the police report, and now he shows up at his pro day, and he's overweight, he's distracted, and he does not perform well. And now his draft stock is slipping in a big way. And look, I'm not going to sit here and root against a 22-year-old. It's not something I want to do. It's not something anybody wants to do. So we all hope that Jalen Carter gets his head, put on straight, is able to find within himself some peace, some solace, what have you, move forward, keep grinding, work hard, be a pro. But if you are an NFL team that are vetting your top 5, top 10 first-round draft pick in general, and you look at Jalen Carter, there's about 1,000 red flags. There's about 1,000 red flags. Number one, decision-making of huge question. Number two, how long does this thing stay with him emotionally? Because he's got tons of talent, but if there's survivor's guilt, if there's guilt that is just associated with you leaving the scene, if there's guilt associated with how you handle the situation, that you engaged in the driving that left 2 people that you were familiar with dead, including a teammate, if you know that the truth has been exposed, I mean, those are all things that can get inside a young person's head or just anybody's head, forget being young, and totally submarine your confidence, your work ethic, your desire to really succeed. I think the fact that he showed up to pro day and this is definitely emotionally and mentally hanging over him is of huge concern. When we return, Rick Pitino is back, and apparently everybody forgot why he was away. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
Kirk Cousins is the ultimate egg layer. He might as well be nicknamed the Rooster.
Oh, no, you didn't. No, you didn't.
I did.
No,
I did.
no,
I
no,
did.
no, no,
I did.
no,
This is
no,
Mraz
no,
with the CBS
no.
Sports Minute. Yes.
No,
What do
you
mean,
didn't.
no? What do you mean? I can't end with a nice tagline? I mean,
Mraz,
you're doing minutes on Eddie. I can't give you a rooster line?
Mraz, roosters don't lay eggs.
What do you mean they don't lay eggs? Time out. We have the rooster is like a chicken. The chickens, the roosters, the turkeys, they all lay eggs. How do you think they produce? They're not giving birth.
Roosters.
Have you ever seen a rooster go to a hospital and give birth?
Roosters are male chickens.
So what's a hen? A hen's a female chicken?
That's right.
So we have chickens that label, but within the chickens we have roosters and we have hens, and only the hens can lay eggs and the roosters supply the eggs?
Yeah, well, you know how, like, girls make babies and boys don't?
Right. Okay. I did not realize a rooster and a hen were different genders of chickens. I just thought they were different types of chickens. I thought you could have a male chicken and a female chicken. Like you could have a male rooster and a female rooster. Come on, how am I supposed to know that? It was a nice little Kirk Cousins steak I had.
Come on, because you know what?
It was a nice Kirk Cousins steak and a good rooster line. And
It was a good Kirk Cousins take. It was a good Kirk Cousins take. It really was. And yet, I can give you a pass on Portuguese being spoken in Brazil. I maybe can give you a pass for not knowing anything that happened in the centuries, the 15th, the 16th, or 1700s. But what I can't let you get away with is, how am I supposed to know roosters don't lay eggs? Everybody listening right now knows that roosters do not lay eggs.
Yeah, what do you think? I've been tilling the land on a farm my whole life? I go to Stop and Shop and I buy a dozen. Do you think I read it and go, oh, this came from a hen, this couldn't have come from a rooster?
Well, let me ask you.
What realm or stratosphere am I supposed to know that?
Let me ask you this. In terms of just this amazing ability to push away responsibility, how do you think Bogish, myself, and Pete the Body know that roosters don't lay eggs? We haven't tilled any land.
I have a feeling that either Bogish or Bellotti didn't know that, and now it is too late. And now it is too late for them to admit that.
We're already doing this at 6:38 Eastern.
You know what we definitely did know, too, D.A., you missed this. I don't know if you were brought up to speed, but we had a discovery along these same lines while you were out where Sean didn't know that rabbits could nurse their baby rabbits. They just thought that they foraged for food and gave them to the babies. That only cows could be milked. We discovered that recently. So, again, Farmer
This is
Sean
even more
not really good at his
egregious.
job.
This is even more egregious. This is today's poll question. Did you know roosters don't lay eggs? Did you know that roosters can't lay eggs? That's today's poll question.
This is going to be like a cable news poll question. It's going to be totally swayed. Nobody's going to admit they didn't know now.
Reagan Mondale.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
I'd be surprised if this is 98 to 2%. I'd be surprised if 2% of people didn't know this.
All right. So let me just end with this. Kirk Cousins is an egg layer. He's the ultimate hen.
That's fine. It's really cheesy, but
Terrible
okay.
line.
But okay, fine. At least it is factually correct.
Okay. All right. See? All right. We're back.
We're also 39 minutes into the show. We have our epic fail all locked up and another 12 days of Christmas.
And a buffoon.
And a year of the buffoon.
Boy,
I mean, the Year of the Buffoon is almost its own show at this point, not a segment, or at least an hour.
5-part special.
I am actually... Yeah, I'm just taking that day off of work, and we're just going to run the Year of the Buffoon.
Take the week off.
For 4 hours.
This is our Christmas show. We're all off on Christmas, and instead of a live show, you'll get 4 hours of buffoon. Just like Jesus wanted.
Amen.
Merry Buffoon, everybody. Here's your radio show.
Here's some
CBS Sports Radio.
Live From CBS Radio Studios in New York City, it's the DA Show with your host, Damon Amendolara, featuring producer Mraz and the musical sounds of the Zap Zap Orchestra. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's DA.
And a happy Trash Tuesday to you, everybody. DA with you here on CBS Sports Radio. Coming your way in 20 minutes, we've got Stunned to a Noose. And in 40 minutes, I've got a bizarre 1980s NFL story for you. That's my wheelhouse, baby. Rick Pitino is back in the Big East. Remember that Rick Pitino coached Providence way back in the 80s. And over the course of his career, he has won everywhere that he's ever been. He won at Boston University back in the late 70s, early 80s. He went to the Final Four with Providence in 1987. He parlayed that into the Kentucky job and went to the national championship game, Final Fours, and won a national championship in 96. He then left that job for the Boston Celtics, the only place that he did not win. Then ends up at Louisville. They win another national championship. Then he's been at Iona for the last 3 years. They went to the NCAA tournament twice. And now he's got the St. John's job. From a basketball-only standpoint, it's a no-brainer for St. John's. They have walked through the wilderness post-Louis Carnesecca for 30 years. And in the Big East now, they've been passed by just about everybody but DePaul. I mean, almost everybody's better than St. John's almost every year. And let's say this about the Big East. The Big East is fun. In terms of college basketball, yes, it is not what it once was in the early 80s. It is not what it once was on Big Monday and John Thompson and Jim Boeheim and Raleigh Massimino and all of those guys. But did they reboot and reload better than any conference could have possibly done in the same situation when realignment happened? They were broken apart, a Balkan Islands type of situation. Everybody fighting for territory. Nobody knows who's in charge. The teams that played football, the schools that played football left for the ACC, for the Big Ten, etc. And then just the basketball schools banded together and said, even in this day and age of football, we're going to do basketball only. And they came together. They added Creighton. They added Xavier. They added some non-traditional, quote, Big East schools. But it worked. It worked like a charm. They got a good contract out of Fox. They still have the Big East tournament at the Garden, and away you go. You know, St. John's being relevant, playing home games, some of them at MSG, in New York City and in the Big East would be great theater. And this is where Rick Pitino belongs. He belongs in New York. He's a native New Yorker. His career comes full circle, and if you're St. John's and you've been hoping for going to the tournament and going back to Sweet 16s and Elite Eights and Final Fours like you used to do, then going after Pitino is a slam dunk. Pitino is still incredibly committed to coaching. Why at 70 years old and winner of multiple national championships, he continues to grind? Who knows? He doesn't have to. But at Iona, he was involved in everything. He shows up to practice. I mean, Boeheim never really drew up anything in his last 20 years. It was all assistant coaches, all these guys. You let your assistant coaches do everything. You're the closer on recruiting trips, if you even travel. And you roll out the balls on game day, and then you yell at refs. You do the post-game press conferences. But Pitino was in it. Pitino was practicing. Pitino was on every recruiting trip. Pitino, at 70 years old, still is a maniac. So St. John's is not getting a guy who's checked out on his last legs, is only there in name only. No, they're getting a damn good basketball coach. So I get it from a St. John standpoint, and I get it from a Pitino standpoint. You went from Iona to the Big East. Same city. Yeah. But wow, everybody forgets why Rick Pitino was available to St. John's and why he was at Iona. It's like nobody even wants to bring up why he's been so radioactive for 5 years. Rick Pitino at Louisville was just inundated by scandal. Inundated. There was almost never a season where there wasn't a scandal. Let's just take the little stuff. Rick Pitino's a liar. That's just the little stuff. And you could just say, well, college basketball coaches in general do that. That's fine. But Rick Pitino is one of the height of hypocrites, one of the peak hypocrites of our time. I mean, when he is at Louisville and the thing is breaking apart to the Big East, the ACC, et cetera, and there's schools that are fleeing to other conferences, Pitino sits there and tongue lashes them. I would never do it. You got to stay loyal to the conference. This conference made us all. You can't break away. You can't do this. These guys are traitors. The moment Louisville got a bid to go to the ACC, what do? The second, Rick Pitino, I would never do this. We would never do this. We've got a certain standard here. We've got a loyalty to the conference. Oh, wait, ACC? Yeah, we're gone. And that's just tip of the iceberg stuff. He's always been that type of guy. At Louisville, let's just talk about basketball scandal. Just basketball. Stripper parties. They ain't the first college kids to see strippers. They won't be the last. But on his watch, he says he didn't know, but his assistant coaches hired strippers to come to the dorms to have stripper and sex parties to lure recruits. If you've seen Blue Chips, you know this is not exactly something new, but for a guy in Rick Pitino's position who knows everything about everything. Oh, I didn't know. That's how we were getting kids? I didn't know. Yeah, right. Okay. So that's the first one. You can't do that. It's against the NCAA bylaws. Might have to end up sacrificing, bringing down the banner of a national championship. That's a big deal, right? I mean, they vacated a national championship because he had strippers coming onto campus for sex parties.
Get on top of the guy and they'll do a lap dance.
Then after that, after Louisville went on probation, after they paid their penalty for the Final Four of the national championship, then he gets embroiled in the Adidas controversy, where there's a $100,000 offer to a recruit, and that's the thing that kind of takes down everybody. Kansas got it. Will Wade at LSU got it. The FBI was involved. And yeah, Louisville was definitely making offers to pay players. Now, again, you could say, well, hey, that was what business was doing. But Pitino insisted. Clean program after the sex stripper scandal. We won't do that anymore. We're running it straight and narrow. And then suddenly jobbed again. Okay, so this is why even at Louisville, where he won at a crazy pace, he was too hot to handle. You got to get out of here. You got to leave. You're toxic. You're radioactive. We can't have you here. So where does he go? To Iona, where 99.9% of this audience listening right now could not tell you where Iona is or what conference they play in. That's where he was for the last 3 years. Why was he at Iona? Because nobody else would touch him. That's 3 years ago. 3 years later, St. John's welcoming a conquering hero. It's funny how quickly people forget it. It just goes to show you, as long as you keep working, people forget. People just tend to forget. We're on to the next thing. When's Aaron Rodgers going to get traded to the Jets? Yay, Rick Pitino. He's awesome. People just forget. I mean, the peak of scumminess has been Pitino for how long? All right, we got Pitino. I mean, that doesn't even have to do with the personal stuff where he's getting busy on a restaurant floor with a woman in Louisville that isn't his wife. I mean, that ends up being an extortion attempt against Rick Pitino. He's had himself a life here. He's had himself quite a life. People forget. People forget real quick. Will St. John's win? Hell yeah, they'll win. Yep, because he doesn't do anything but win. All he does is win. Rick Pitino's going to win. Now, he's going to win a Final Four? Probably not. Win a national championship? Probably not. But is St. John's immediately in a better space because he's there? Yeah. Fans are engaged. Boosters engaged. City engaged. Yeah, no doubt. But let's not act like this guy is conquering hero pure as the newly fallen snow here. Rick Pitino was available to St. John's because bigger programs, better programs didn't want him. By the way, on the Big East, you have Ed Cooley leaving for Georgetown, which is interesting because I guess I should say that St. John's has been ahead of Georgetown as well. Georgetown's been just bleak since Patrick Ewing took over. Is Georgetown a better job than Providence? I mean, Providence is going to the NCAA tournament regularly. They won the Big East a couple of years ago. Georgetown's been dreck. Is it a better job than Providence that Ed Cooley left for?
No. It's a lateral move. I guess you want to say maybe the D.C. area gives you a little more fertile recruiting grounds in terms of basketball than the Rhode Island area, maybe. But even when Georgetown was great, I mean, that's kind of when Providence was great. So how can I even say that that's a better leap?
So my guess is that the wealth at Georgetown, the alumni from Georgetown, the fact that it's kind of the center of D.C., my guess is that the boosters can pay more than you can at Providence. Because why else would you take that job, as you said, since they're in the dumps? You could absolutely make the argument that D.C. is a much better fertile recruiting area. But just going to a terrible program because it's in a good city, like nobody takes the DePaul job. That's as good as basketball recruiting can get.
Good point.
So it has to be the money and the recruiting that you feel like, well, you know what? It's hard enough to get kids to Providence. I know I can keep a kid in town in D.C., but you need a couple of kids, and you need the salary to be right. So my guess is Georgetown's willing to pay more than he was making at Providence, and he feels like there's enough tentacles out there recruiting-wise where he can get a couple of kids to stay in D.C. and help them win. That opens up the Providence job, though, too, which is a good job. It's become a good job. And, again, the Big East is interesting because now there's going to be a good coach at Providence. There's a good coach in Georgetown. There's going to be a really good coach, a Hall of Fame coach at St. John's. You know?
Shaka Smart's at Marquette.
Shaka Smart at Marquette has certainly worked. McDermott at Creighton's a really good head coach. UConn now back in the Big East has been great for them. I mean, that's the best basketball conference in America because they don't play football. You know, and Big Ten, they love basketball there. They pay their coaches really well. All the schools have big brands. But, I mean, you watch Big Ten basketball, no offense. It's hard to watch.
Did you see Purdue in the last 5 minutes the other night?
And that was definitely part of the reason Purdue could not handle small, quick guard play. Because of the Big Ten, you just don't get that. You don't get that type of athletic ability oftentimes. And so everything is kind of a street fight, which is fine, but it's part of the reason you haven't won a national championship since 2000. I mean, Michigan State is the last Big Ten team to win a national championship. That is 23 years ago. And what just happened opening weekend? Big Ten basketball. Where is it? Was there not 8 or 9 schools from the Big Ten made it, and one is left? One, Michigan State, and they're a 7 seed. There's 3 Big East teams left.
Right. Indiana went down like a sack of potatoes, too.
They all did. Should I play this here or should I wait for break? Let me take a break here.
Do whatever suits you. How about that?
Let me take, well, that's nice of you. Let's take a break here. I've got Cam Newton audio that I got to play for you. Today he's going to throw at Auburn's Pro Day. Is that not sad? He's throwing today at Auburn's Pro Day, and he had an interesting audio clip to go along with it. We'll play that for you next. It gets done to a news. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Later on this evening, you guys remember Joltin' Joe DeLuisio. He was the man behind the wheels of steel before Pete the Body Bilotti for a number of years here on the show when we were on in evenings. And he now heads the Iona College Communications Department. He left CBS Sports Radio to run their communications department. It's just outside of New York City, New Rochelle, New York. So they are having a career panel discussion tonight, and Joltin' Joe D asked me to do it. I said, of course, happy to help you out. And I always enjoy speaking to young people and college students about the career path. And Maggie Gray also will be co-hosting the panel with me. So myself and Maggie Gray. Of course, you know Maggie from her work here on CBS Sports Radio, also SportsIllustrated.com, SI Now. She now hosts the middays with Bart Scott and Chris Carlin on WFAN in New York as part of CMB. Chris, Maggie, and Bart. And so I thought me and Maggie were enough, two people, to be able to host this career panel. And Joltin' Joe, I guess, needed a third. And I guess he struck out a couple of times because he ends up asking Mraz to be on this panel as well.
As a pop culture phenomenon like myself.
And the flyer is out. They've tweeted this flyer out, and it's pretty amazing. It says, Radio Career Panel. Join us in welcoming guest speakers for a panel on careers of the broadcast field. Maggie Gray, host WFAN. Damon Amendolara, host CBS Sports Radio. Both of our pictures are up there, our bio pics, our glossy photos. November 12th, Monday, 6:30 p.m., big, huge font. And then there's small type right under our two pictures that have an asterisk, and it says, Sean Marash, producer, CBS Sports WFAN.
I'm done. I'm an asterisk.
You're the asterisk
I'm
tonight.
the asterisk. You have to get a microscope to see that I'm there tonight.
Wasn't Maggie and I enough for their panel? They got to wheel you in there too?
I guess. I was asked about a month ago. Joe called me. I was actually standing outside LaGuardia Airport just landing home from one of these trips when he called me. And I was like kind of in a bad mood. I'm like, what do you need me to do? Okay, sure, whatever you want. And now as the times have come and I've seen the press, boy, have I been disrespected here.
Honestly, this is a top 25, and you are also receiving votes.
I'm San Diego State.
It's amazing. There's a picture of me, picture of Maggie, and then under it in tiny, tiny font, also Sean Marash, producer, CBS Sports Radio, with an asterisk.
I'm like when you still tailgate for a big concert, that guy who's playing music for 3 people in there.
Yeah, you're going to open for us?
I don't know. I don't even know what I'm supposed to say. I've lucked into every path I've had in this career. What am I supposed to tell these kids?
And Bogish is upset that he wasn't asked.
Yeah, Bogish said if there was any alert that I am not where I am in my career, it's that you were asked to do this before me.
So this hammers home your point that you think Bogish is not doing well enough in his career from a representation standpoint. Had he had an agent, his agent could have at least got him on this panel with me and Maggie.
Right, and I think he at least gets a picture up there. If Bogish is there, there's a picture.
Yeah, Bogish gets a picture.
Bogish isn't getting the asterisk.
No.
But he'd take the asterisk at this point. So
Yeah.
it just speaks to where Bogish is at in his career, and I would say 2 words, not far.
What do you have any business being on this panel?
I don't, and here's the thing. I've faked my way through a lot of these talk. You talk about me when I've spoken to my college or to my high school, and my go-to line is, hey, I came from here. That means you could do it too. These kids are at a way better school than I ever went to. What am I supposed to tell them? I don't know what to tell them. Hey, study hard. You can make it. I don't know. What do I got?
I guess you got to be honest. Just be a crazy weirdo buffoon on the radio, and hopefully you'll move up the ranks.
Right. Be able to, belch the alphabet and, do a couple hot dog eating contests, and I got news for you. You got a career.
If you can cry on command during a sports take, it'll help you out.
You want to see somebody go up in front of kids and have nothing tonight. That's me.
So you're going to be like Clayton Kershaw in the World Series.
Just melting down.
Big spot, you just got nothing.
I'm just going to be saying a couple words, turn. DA, what do you got here? Maggie, what do you got?
Mraz is the asterisk. It's so good.
Also performing.
Choose your weapon. Peeps with salsa or a kielbasa to the face. The DA Show on CBS Sports Radio.
21 minutes past the hour. The DA Show is available to watch every single day. Check us out on the YouTube app. Pop us up on YouTube. Go to the CBS Sports Radio channel. Watch us. Also Twitch. Also watchda.com. So today is Auburn's Pro Day, and Cam Newton is going to throw at Pro Day because he doesn't have a job. Now, remember, last year did that barbershop show and was laughing that there aren't 32 guys better than him, that he will have another job. He's not going to retire. He was confident about that. He was laughing, jovial about the idea that people thought he was washed up. Much of the same tone when he produced his hype video yesterday, getting ready for today's Auburn Pro Day.
Tell me how these randoms keep getting jobs. Don't worry about it. I'm going to say, I can't wait to say it. I love it. I love it.
Tell me, he said, tell me how these randoms keep getting jobs.
Tell me how these randoms keep getting jobs.
And then he is walking backwards, cameras in his face. He's at the indoor practice facility, waving his arms up and down. Yeah, I'm ready, baby. I'm having fun, baby.
I'm going to say, I can't wait to say it.
Can't wait. Big smile on his face. Just joyous. So happy, delighted that he's got a chance to prove everybody wrong. This is totally my take from 30,000 feet. And admittedly, this is just a poorly trained pop psychologist. But I think Cam Newton's going through something because he's acting like he's really embarrassed and he's got to go so far the other way to prove that he's totally okay, and it's almost comical that people would think he'd be ashamed. And last year, he's sitting around with other former athletes. They're doing the barbershop thing, and Cam has always been a great quote. He's always been a great interview, a great quote. Hasn't always said smart things, but has always been very talkative, and he's just always had a charisma. You know, he was very comfortable in front of cameras, comfortable in front of fans. He knew how to play the part of Superman. But when bringing up the idea that he didn't have a job, it was like, oh man, that's crazy that people think that I'm no good. It's crazy. People, it's just comical. It's a joke. I mean, come on. There ain't 32 people better than me at this job. Okay. Now here he is going to Auburn's Pro Day. I mean, not for nothing, but let's just say the Dolphins were looking for a backup QB for Tua. Wouldn't the Dolphins bring him to Miami to throw? Let's just say the 49ers were worried about Brock Purdy's injury, or the Carolina Panthers wanted a guy to help along the rookie draft pick. If they were worried about Cam Newton's arm, wouldn't they just have them come to the facility to throw? The idea that Cam Newton has to hold his own workout, but is doing so with Auburn college football players, says a lot. That nobody's even interested in flying him to their facility to throw. He's got to host his own. And so that it looks like people are there, he's got to glom on to other players getting scouted. Because if Cam Newton held a workout on Auburn's campus, nobody would show up. There's not a scout that wants to see him throw, or else they would fly him to their facility. So he has got to act like, oh, I can't wait. This is great. I couldn't be happier. For Cam Newton, who has had an outsized ego from day one, this has got to be the most humiliating experience ever. He doesn't want to admit that he's washed. And he's going so far out of the way to insist it's a joke to think I'm washed up, that I'm having the time of my life. He's going through something. This is the ultimate punch of the ego. I mean, frankly, there's two ways you could go on this. You think that you're a star. You think there's no way you shouldn't have a job, but nobody's interested. And by the way, there's 32 teams that could be interested in you as a starter or a backup. So it's not like you're in an industry where there's like 3 companies that could hire you. There's 32 companies that could hire you. Nobody wants to see you. Nobody's interested. So you either put your head down and go, man, this is the hard reality, and I'm just here to grind and prove people wrong quietly, silently. I'm working my tail off, and you'll see. Or you go the opposite way, and you're so gregarious and so out there that it's kind of like a wild animal that's trying to distract or scare off other animals. It's kind of like that weird lizard that runs along the water. You know, you put your neck out enough and you flail, and you're hoping that even though you're small in stature, it scares other people or other animals. Because Cam showing up to a college pro day and jumping up and down, waving his arms, laughing, man, I know there ain't 32 guys better than me. I can't wait. This is great. That's a weird take. It's a weird take. Now, Cam has a showmanship in him. So it could just simply be acting for the cameras. This is a good video. We're going to put it on social. The whole bit here is just to get retweets and views and people like DA to talk about it, and maybe that's it. But I think that there's got to be an enormous puncture to his ego that, how old is he? 32, 33? I mean, he's not 37, but he's totally washed up.
He's going to be 34.
So he's 33, going to be 34.
Before the season.
It's so over. It's so beyond over. And he also doesn't have value as a backup quarterback that's willing to stand down and coach the rest of the guys up. And so there's no value to him.
But that's it. You just hit on it. Cam Newton says it himself. There's not 32 quarterbacks better than me, which tells me, and should tell everybody, and I'm sure what all the coaches know, he has no interest in doing what it takes to be a good backup quarterback in the league at this stage in his career, a la Joe Flacco, who was also, by the way, a guy who played in the Super Bowl around that Cam Newton Super Bowl and got washed, but, floated around now and has been a backup quarterback. If you're saying there ain't 32 guys better than me, I understand the mindset that you want to be one of the starting quarterbacks, but teams at this stage, Cam Newton, they're looking for a guy who could pop in there if my quarterback gets hurt for 2-3 weeks and knows he can hold down the fort. Are you willing to do all the little things to be a backup quarterback? If you're flat out saying now there's not 32 guys, it should be there's not 64 guys better than me.
He doesn't view himself as a backup. And he's barely a backup quarterback, talent-wise and effectiveness in today's NFL. He's barely that. So, yeah, he's not one of the 32 best quarterbacks out there. He's not. And that's not to take away what he did, NFL MVP, led the team to a 15-1 record, a Super Bowl appearance. In his prime, Cam was one of the most dynamic players in the league. But he's not that anymore, and he's having a really hard time processing that and is not willing to just be journeyman backup QB helping the next. I mean, Jameis Winston turned into that number 1 overall draft pick, supposed savior of a franchise, and Jameis was never Cam Newton. But Jameis realized, look, I'm now a backup. That's why he stayed in New Orleans. I'm now a backup, and I just kind of have to wait my turn and then see. I can't be picky here. And nobody wants Cam Newton.
Yeah. And also, it's also not about 32 either. Maybe he is the 32nd or something like that. I'm not even saying he is, but if he was. It's also about being, the top 20, top 24, because other than that, it's guys who we don't know if they're better than Cam Newton or not, but you're shooting for their upside in their youth, and Cam Newton's aged out. So that's another short-sighted thing when you just mentioned the 32 quarterbacks.
Yeah. What's the obvious outcome of today's pro day? That Cam, in controlled circumstances, throws a couple of passes that look fine, and nobody calls him up. There's no way he's getting a starting job at it today. Might he get invited to a camp if there's an injury? Perhaps, but we're already into March 21st. teams have their quarterback depth chart pretty much set unless they're going to draft a guy. And at that point, they're drafting a young guy to see potential. Unless there's an injury, I don't see Cam Newton having a football team this year.
Also, there are not one but two spring football leagues, one going on, one about to launch.
Totally.
Okay, what makes Cam Newton better than Josh Gordon? Or, I mean, there's other NFL guys, and now I'm forgetting all because I haven't watched the XFL, but we went through those guys at the beginning. Why wouldn't he try to be one of those guys and then show week in and week out he still has what it takes, even at a lesser level? And don't tell me it doesn't work. That's how Taylor Heineke got a freaking job.
He's hurting. Mentally, confidence-wise, he's hurting. He thinks that that's well below him. He's a former number one pick, an NFL MVP. He thinks he's still Cam Newton, and he does not want to go to the XFL, and that's what makes this a little difficult to watch. I mean, that hype video is pretty sad. It
is.
It's like, a 70-year-old actress getting a real tight face tuck and wearing, the tightest gown at the red carpet, and you're
Tell me how these
Have you seen Madonna's TikTok?
keep getting jobs.
It ain't happening. It's like Suzanne Summers now.
Yeah, it's bad. By the way, DJ Fluker, former Alabama lineman, is doing this at Alabama's pro day. He's working out for teams and just joining the pro day. It's not embarrassing because he's not making crazy videos screaming there's how many offensive linemen not better than him. And he'll probably get a job because he's not being annoying.
Fluker's also younger than Cam Newton, I think.
I'm going to look. I mean, maybe. But the point is, and I know it's not as sexy as the quarterback position.
Yeah.
It's just different. Like he's behaving differently about this opportunity.
Yeah, DJ Fluker can't go out and do everything is crazy. DJ Fluker.
Oh, they're the same age.
Fluker's 32.
Or a year younger. Okay.
Yeah. Standing by with headline of this morning, here's a kind sir, Andrew Bogish.
DA, Women's March Madness hadn't lost a 1 seed before the Sweet 16 from 2009 until Sunday night, and then lost another one last night, Indiana falling at home to 9-seeded Miami 70-68. Hoosier All-American Mackenzie Holmes in tears postgame.
Obviously, I'm upset. My last game with Grace, and it's been a privilege to play with her these past 4 years, so I just hate that it has to end like this for her, but just a lot of emotions in our locker room right now.
That's great.
Sounds like me if I lost the NIT bracket.
Burger.
Sounds like me if the Giants beat the Titans in week 1.
It's only the second time in the tourney's 41-year history that 2 1 seeds lost during the first weekend. The Hurricanes get to play on their first Sweet 16 since '92, and then there's UConn, a 77-58 home win over Baylor, sending them to their 29th consecutive Sweet 16. On the men's side, we're just discussing the coaching changes from yesterday. Georgetown hires Ed Cooley away from Providence. Penn State's Micah Shrewsbury and George Mason's Kim English, the apparent favorites for the Friars job now. And St. John's has officially lured Rick Pitino away from Iona. The Grizzlies are hopeful that Ja Morant returns to the floor tomorrow against the Rockets. He was back on their bench for last night's 112-108 win over the Mavericks. Dallas scored just 12 fourth-quarter points. Kyrie missed all 8 shots he took in that final period. The Lakers don't have a play-in spot at the moment, thanks to the Jazz.
Abaji straight down the barrel 3. Yes, sir! Ochai! 116-115. Ochai builds on his career high. He's got 23.
That's David Locke on Jazz Radio. Ochai Abaji, the Kansas star, finishing with 27 in the 128-120 win over the Kings. Utah now a half game better than LA for 10th in the West. The Warriors won in Houston, 121-108. I say again, they won in Houston. That ends their 11-game road skid. Their last win away from home was January 30th. Julius Randle scored 57, but his Knicks lost at home to the T-Wolves, 140-134. And the Sixers' 8-game win streak ended 109-105 in double OT to the Bulls. He is listed in our system as Panthers head coach Jim Reich by someone Pete recently hired. But it's actually Frank Reich. And he said,
At a nationally syndicated radio network, Frank Reich was mislabeled Jim Reich.
Yeah.
Do we know who the tape op was?
We know that EJ was on last night. And
training EJ.
But training somebody. So it could either be either one of those two. I don't think
it wasn't EJ. EJ knows Frank Reich.
So whoever they were training, who conveniently Pete will tell us was not one of his hires.
Of course.
I didn't say that.
Jim Reich.
Is it Timmy? Can you not get away from it? Is that why?
When I spotted that this morning, Pete came. Who said that? What the tape op was it?
Jim Reich.
Not good.
Frank Reich said yesterday that Bryce Young's height would not keep them from using the number 1 pick on him. And the Bills are signing Patriots running back Damian Harris after losing Devin Singletary to the Texans. Houston also adding former Cowboys tight end Dalton Schultz. Another WBC thriller last night. Japan stunning to a news Mexico 6-5 on a game-ending 2-run double from Munetaka Murakami. Now they face the U.S. in tonight's finale in Miami. And from the NHL, the Panthers 5-2 winners in Detroit. That's a 7-game point streak overall for Florida, plus a 9-game win streak head-to-head. And the Avalanche ran over Chicago 5-0 for a 6-game win streak.
Me cold, me hot.
Mikko Rantanen from the slot for a goal and an assist for Colorado. And now we get started.
It doesn't take much to surprise this bouncing baby boy.
This is honestly the most stunned I have ever been on the show to a news.
The DA show is stunned to a news.
This one is courtesy of the legendary Mac in Bear. So if it turns out that this story is fake, blame him, not me. You'll be shocked to learn that this sweet, sweet woman lives in Florida. A Boca Raton lady calling herself Ashley Cream went to the local planning and zoning board meeting earlier this month with a simple request. Miss Cream wanted March 10th to be declared Sugar Daddy and Sugar Mama Appreciation Day. Now, according to Ashley, Florida has the largest per capita population of sugar parents in our great nation.
Sugar parents.
And as she says, they're responsible for education costs, rent, car payments, and, quote, the occasional body enhancement as she looked down at her surgically enlarged bosom. One board member thanked Miss Cream for her time and her request, but then pointed out she was talking to the wrong group. Oh, no. She needs to take these things to the city council, not the planning and zoning board, since she's not building something to honor sugar parents.
Miss Cream, unless you're looking for a permit to expand the Publix parking lot.
Yeah. We'll call this the Bilotti plan.
That's right.
To be fair, the work she got done, she does need to be in a planning and zoning board meeting. Pete wants to talk about a lack of parking. I mean, he ain't parking next to her and getting into a Trader Joe's.
Ma'am, unless you're bringing to the board designs on a new Miller's Ale House in Pompano, there's nothing we can do for you.
Or you need scaffolding for your bosom. This is not us.
I like how she gets up there and then they tell us.
That's the next room down, miss.
Yeah.
That's the next room
So
down.
as silly as she is, she kind of has a solid point here.
Okay, what's the point?
I'm not saying that, you know, being a sugar daddy or sugar mommy is anything we do, but look, there's clearly people that do this, and there's clearly how many ridiculous days that there's like 4 of them at once, right? I mean, why do we need a national corn chip day and a national this day? Honestly, if you have Father's Day and Mother's Day already, why not have Sugar Daddy's Day?
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what she was looking at of Boca to do for Sugar Daddy and Sugar Mama Day.
You
Just
buy
to
them
recognize
a card.
it?
Yeah, just recognize it. Like, that's the day you bring home a card. Like, oh, it's your day now. We had regular Daddy's Day. Now it's Sugar Daddy Day.
Yeah, doesn't Father's Day weave into Sugar Daddy Day?
No, why don't you do it the Saturday before? Father's Day is traditionally on the Sunday. Sugar Daddy Day could be on the Saturday before Father's Day.
It's totally ridiculous.
I do want to know how many sugar daddies or mommies would want to be publicly appreciated.
Fair.
Like, that's not really a public-facing job, right?
Good
Like,
idea.
That's like on the sly usually, is it not?
Yeah.
And the restaurants would love it. Little price fix.
2 for $20 for Sugar Daddies, Sugar Mamas, and their sugar children. What are the benefactors of this?
2 for $200 if the restaurant's got a hold.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Florida does have a huge influx of this. I would imagine there's a lot of relationships that begin in strip clubs in Florida where an older, wealthier person goes in and says, okay, I'm going to put a roof over your head and put you in a car and buy you clothes, and you don't tell my ex-wife?
Yeah, I guess that's what's going on. Honestly, the more you think about it, these sugar daddies, and the same thing with these college boosters paying guys like Patino, what are they all doing for a living? This is why I say root against the kids from Princeton. They become the sugar daddies, and they become the boosters, hiring great college coaches.
Well, what, you think all the grads
Keep
from...
rubbing two nickels together for a parking spot here.
Damn right.
You think all the grads from Princeton are becoming the boosters of Alabama and LSU football?
No, but like the elitist of those schools or whatever, I just think that's a big problem. Or at the very least, they're becoming sugar daddies down the line.
But is that so bad? You know, you are helping young people get a foothold in their lives.
I actually don't think being a sugar daddy is the worst thing in the world.
We're sugar mamas. I mean, when you were in college grinding away at Subway, Mraz.
Yeah, I mean, different grinding, but yep.
Let's say that there was a wealthy lunch lady, okay?
Beatrice?
Or a beautiful woman owned the Subway franchise that you worked in.
I was going to say that Beatrice had inherited a lot of money from her father or her mother, and she had family wealth. She came from a canning company, okay? And so she comes in and she's like, I love how you eat my meatloaf. I love how you make my sandwiches, and I'd like to treat you well. And now you're single. You're just a young man.
I just want to clarify, meatloaf was not on the menu.
I'd like to buy you...
Meatballs, though.
I'd like to buy you some clothes. I'd like to buy you a new Geo Prism. I'd like to, and suddenly you have a foothold. She's like, well, I'm going to pay for your rent, too. You can move out of the house. Would that be the worst thing in the world?
No, I'd do it in a heartbeat. So...
Could
now,
you, though?
Now, you do have to sleep with Beatrice.
Right, that's the thing.
Right.
So? I mean, again...
Not the worst thing in the world.
No. I mean, look, if I'm... she likes the way I make a sandwich. Maybe she makes a decent, chicken franchise for me on a Friday night. We do that. We rent Liar Liar on Jim Carrey movie on Amazon or something. You kick back, you have a night.
There's no Amazon back then.
There's no Amazon back then.
All right.
Redbox.
So
Straight to Blockbuster.
I go to Redbox. I get Grown Ups, the original.
Of course.
We sit there, little candlelight, and you know what? A little milk and cookies. Good night. Fine with me.
And
I'm out of the house.
And the next day, she's leaving a $100 bill on the countertop and saying, like, this is just for you. I appreciate it.
Right to Modell's for a Reuben Drones jersey.
You would totally blow the whole thing.
Right to Modell's for a Reuben Drones jersey.
Yeah, come to think of it, why not?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So sugar daddies and sugar mamas should be celebrated.
Yeah, and that's the day that you buy back your sugar mama sugar daddy. You know what? Here's the flowers for you, Beatrice.
Here's your Reuben Drones.
Exactly. Let's go to
Which
the
giant
Olive
do you love?
How about on these days we go
Here's
to...
your Steve Weatherford.
How about on these days we go to work? And maybe work hard.
Look, I think we would all be interested in a relationship that was merely physical on our end if the other person paid for everything that we needed.
I don't think I would.
I've got some standards on
I
the
would not
physical
be.
part of it.
Yeah.
There's a line I couldn't cross.
But you wouldn't feel cheapened.
I wouldn't feel cheapened.
As long as you were attracted to the woman.
The people that, the relationship that are creepy 80-year-old men and 23-year-old beautiful women, I don't know how the women do their end of that bargain.
That's a tough one.
I don't need people paying for me.
Really?
I don't.
Are you sure?
The one time somebody would appreciate Pete paying for him. He's
No,
like,
but it's cheap, I think, as Bogus kind of mentioned. It's cheap.
I'm surprised. I would think that you would not mind being a boy toy.
Oh, I do mind.
Well, you'd be a good one, I feel like.
Yeah. You might be the best one out of it.
You're very caring, very doting, very chivalrous.
The apple in his mouth.
Because you would be respectful of the sugar mommy.
No, I'm not calling her sugar mommy, first of all.
Just mommy?
You guys can have it. I'll work for my money. I'll work 15 jobs for my money.
All right. Well, we're all going to the Hamptons, and you'll be grinded away on 3rd of July running the board for Shep. So I don't know.
Emailing Trader Joe's about their parking. We're passing him by the helicopter looking down.
Just keep it going. It's how it always is.
We're the ones that will be owning the parking lot at Trader Joe's. Don't you want to be part of that clan?
I do not
That's
want to be
my
part
new
of that
life.
clan.
We'll be
Own a
sitting
parking
behind-
lot? What a stupid investment that is.
No, that's how Stan Kroenke made all his money.
Well,
You
know,
know the Walmart parking lots.
also, I'm not a Stan Kroenke fan either, so.
Home plate behind Citi Field, Pete's in the upper deck. Should have done it, Pete.
Hey, baby. Come on, join us in the suite, Pete.
I got some
Pounds
pride.
heavy, but who knows? We're down here.
I got some pride.
But instead, you're grinding away, making schedules for Thanksgiving Day weekend.
Yes.
Making sure Pat Boyle is not on a double every day.
It's Frank Reich, not Jim Reich.
As we're taking a stretch Escalade over to Citi Field for the World Series.
Oh, I'm not going to live off of Sugar Mama. No way.
Wow. And
Pride.
won't run a steer. Only jumps on for the picture.
More than you did.
When we come back on the show, I have a bizarre 1980s NFL story because, of course, it's a Tuesday. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Number 3 on the 12 DAs of Christmas comes to us from September the 20th. Huge Freeze had already had 3 weeks in the bank of picking as part of the Battle of the Bulge, but he was just starting to hit his stride singing and poking fun at the bear, which is Mraz. This is just days after Mraz's beloved New York Yankees were eliminated by the Red Sox in the ALDS. It's September the 20th and number 3 on the 12 DAs. Then Iowa getting a field goal, take it on Wisconsin. That's the 3 picks for Huge Freeze.
Yes, sir.
What did you say about the Boise pick?
You guys got loaded at the wedding while I got baked, and they got mashed.
I don't know, man. Bogus, you know. Mraz hates how Robbie has such a flourish, but it's so good. I think his segments are more interesting than Mraz's.
First of all, the newsroom responding well, like everybody else now, to Robbie's singing. 2 different heads popped up. Is that Robbie? He sounds good. And Sean has no ability to either come up or deliver the potato line like Robbie did the first time.
That's right.
That was perfection.
He said I sound like a screeching cat last week. Was that Cat Stevens? Why don't you take a ride on the Peace Train? Huh? I will do just fine.
It's great because all of this is making Mraz's blood boil. He was the hero of the show. You know, he was making the picks, and he's the big personality.
Internet sensation
going viral. And here has come Superstorm Robbie ripping through town Mrazville.
With actual talents.
Yes, and showing he's got such a personality, a je ne sais quoi here on the airwaves.
Music to my ears. I'm looking back and forth at you like I'm like watching a ping pong match. Anything but mine. What a great drop. That's tremendous.
And he's really shoving it in Mraz's face by singing one of Mraz's favorite artists.
Oh, I know.
And
but that's the genius.
I know.
Oh, that was by design,
Exactly.
100%.
I know. It's really getting in his head. Can you see him? He's just like staring ahead, looking at the ceiling, getting red-faced.
Right. The best Sean can do is call David Gettleman old.
Right.
That's the best joke he's got.
I figure he's got no problems with his Giants. I figure I might as well throw some his way. In the morning, I'm leaving, making my way back to Cleveland.
Is the Sean camera on right now at watchda.com?
The camera is on Mraz, and he is steaming.
We're late to break.
Steaming.
I will do just fine. Wow, this is like Star Search all over again.
And Bellotti is just rat-a-tat-tat-tatting those lyrics.
There's a bar in far by.
They're both beat red, one out of anger and one out of pure joy in there.
He's quicker than Neil Peart on the drums, I swear. And I don't see how you could ever be.
Oh, God. This segment has become amazing.
Come fly with me, let's fly.
We did it.
Finally. Mraz has walked out of the studio.
Almost 6 years
Get
it
him
took.
out. He's like Vontae Davis. He has thrown in the towel. It's the middle of the show. He walked out.
Get him out.
We're over there sometimes at the van. He tells me, get me out of here. He finally did.
Get him out.
He is so angry he has left the studio in fury. He has left.
That's it. Superstorm out of here.
Number 3 in the 12 days of Christmas, huge freeze annoys Mraz so badly, Mraz ups and quits and leaves the show in the middle of the segment. Left the studio, threw down his headset and left the studio. He was so aggravated. That was peak Robbie. That was peak huge freeze.
45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
So this has got to be the quintessential DA story, okay? I just mentioned that we released a new episode of Joe Klecko on New York Accent, my long-form interview podcast, which is available all places that you get your podcast. Subscribe, rate, and review. Episodes drop on Tuesday. So Klecko played for the Jets back in the late 70s and throughout the 80s, and I was doing research for the conversation. And I thought I heard all of the wacky stories of NFL in the 80s, considering that's the only documentaries I ever watched. But the Jets and Raiders played a playoff game at 82. It's the divisional round. Jets end up winning this game in L.A. They head to the AFC Championship game. They lose to the Dolphins. This is an infamous moment in Jets history where Don Shula doesn't cover the field. It rains the night before. Dolphins end up winning 14-0. Richard Todd throws 1 million interceptions. But in that Raiders game, Jets head coach Walt Michaels at halftime, and I'm reading this from a New York Times article from the game. So this is the 82 season. I hadn't seen this anywhere except for this article that was written the day after. Head coach Walt Michaels of the Jets gets a phone call at halftime right before he's about to tell his team their marching orders for the third quarter. It's told to him on the phone is Al Davis. According to the locker room security guard, actually, I take that back. The locker room security guard hands him the phone and says, it's Leon Hess, his owner, okay? And the guy on the other end of the phone starts cursing at Walt Michaels. F-bomb this, S-bomb that, ripping Mark Gastineau, Jets defensive end, for being a showboat, saying, get his ass in the game, get his head focused, pull him off the field. He's going to do that type of stuff. He's killing us, blah, blah, blah. This is as Walt Michaels is about to talk to his guys. Michaels then goes, that was my owner calling me at halftime? And then he's kind of rattled. So he asked the security guard, did he say it was Leon Hess on the phone? And the guy goes, no, he said it was AD. He goes, oh, Al Davis, prank calling me to rattle me in the middle of the game. So Walt Michaels, after the game, does a post-game interview, local radio station, and says, if that was Al Davis, I will choke him out. I will choke him out. Al Davis hears this and goes, that wasn't me. You're, quote, insecure and you're an idiot. So they go back to the security guard. Security guard goes, there was a second time the call came in for you. The second time, though, I didn't give it to you. It turned out it was a guy, I got his name. He's a bar owner in Queens. He's a Jets fan in the middle of the game, was so upset at Gastineau. He somehow got through the stadium switchboard, got into the locker room, talked to the head coach, and pretended it was the owner of the Jets. Where the hell could that happen except when there was a switchboard in the 80s?
You're in a 5-minute break.
Go after a big fella.
Oh, let's just start for starters. The fact that I have to produce 2 shows leaves a big hungry man like me very spare time to eat lunch. So yesterday I had approximately 3 minutes during our show to heat up this turkey chili because my wife's diet she has me on. And I go there and I have this guy, Zach, who works at doing whatever production, who basically does nothing but watch Facebook videos all day, races me to heat up his oatmeal, and he goes, oh, too bad, you're going to have to wait. I said, Zach, I'm due back on the air in 3 minutes. This is the only 3 minutes I have. He goes, fine. It basically gives me a finders, keepers, losers, weepers. So he sucks. Screw you. So I had to eat my chili yesterday. Cold chili.
Number 1.
Then in the process of all this, the other show I have is hammering me about the NFL Combine and getting a specific guest on. Turns out the guest they wanted, I asked to come on this show. He was unavailable to come on this show, and I was told by the person coordinating the guest that he was doing 1 hit all week, and he was not going to do any more radio for the week. So when I had to tell my other show this, I got the business about, well, that's unacceptable, this, that, the other thing. Only to find out a couple hours later that the one radio hit he's doing happens to be on that same local station with the show that comes before it, and that occurs today.
Number 2.
So I haven't even told my other show he's on with that, so when they hear that, I'm going to look like a buffoon because I didn't get him on that damn show. Number 3, I got this idiot Jacob Wilkins, which I'm sure we'll get to, and I don't want to hammer him too hard, but just know that he's screwing me over with a friend from college right now, and I got to go back and forth because this guy's a flip-flopper and hasn't done anything relevant since the chicken challenge.
Number 3.
Then finally, I'm thinking I'm going to calm down. I got my cold turkey chili in me. I'm going to get past this guest thing. The other show I work on in the afternoon starts, and I get Bart Scott, who we love, in the talkback saying, hey, I forgot my newspapers. Can you go get my newspapers? So now I have to go like an intern and fetch some newspapers from Bart Scott and walk back in and waddle in. I just can't sit down and relax.
Number 4.
So finally my day's over and I can head home and get out of this place and just relax. I get on my train, I pop my earplugs in, I pop a winter hat over my eyes. I'm going to shut my eyes. Only I get one stop in leaving New York City, and I wake up because I feel something's amiss, and I'm the only one on the train. Everybody's gotten off the train. I'm wondering what happened. I walk off the train. Turns out a train in front of us hit a pedestrian, and our train line to get me home was no longer going to be running for the rest of the night. So I was stranded in Queens and had to wait for another train a half an hour later on a different line to get onto that train. And I walked in the door a full 90 minutes later than I normally would after the garbage day I already would have.
Number 5.
A minute into me being in the door, my father calls because, like an idiot, I moved down the block from him and I still got mail going to my parents' house and says, you have a couple of pieces of mail here. I walk my fat ass up the block. Yes, I decided to walk. I open up the mail. Mail item number 1, a red light ticket, a red light camera ticket that is totaling now, when they used to be like $80 on Long Island, $150. And I had to look, when did I get this red light ticket? Oh, making a right on red on the way to get a foot massage for a gift card I got from my mother-in-law for Christmas. So thanks for the gift card, $150 foot rub.
Number 6.
Mail item number 2. Maybe it's a fake credit card I could throw away. No. It's a medical bill totaling over $2,000 because I had to switch insurances to our insurance here because my wife left her job and she left me in charge of picking out the insurances. And apparently when I was going through my benefits package, I clicked the wrong deductible one, and everything I got done at a doctor, which nothing serious, thankfully, wasn't paid for by the insurance. So now I got the $150 red light ticket and a $2,500 medical bill. I don't know how the heck I'm going to pay for it because I'm probably going to lose my job at FAM because I can't book a damn guest.
Number 7.
And to top it all off, I come in this morning thinking new day, new me, new everything. And I got fellow WFAN hosts Evan Roberts, Joe Beningo, and other friends of mine who are all New York Islander fans all over me, and now not even like upset me, like angry with me.
Angry.
That I had an inauspicious Islanders take on the air on WFAN yesterday, that apparently now I'm a fat buffoon that nobody even wants to work with over on the other side. So to top it all off, everything sucks the last 24 hours, and my only thing I have here is hanging out with you guys, and even you're sending Bible-sized emails about what I could do better on this show. Get me out!
Number 8.
15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Good morning.
Morning, DA. How are you?
CBS Sports Radio. Hey, what's up, DA? Permission to enter the mothership, brother.
Ever heard a sports talk show like this before? Didn't think so.
What's going on, Dirty?
It's DA on CBS Sports Radio.
DA, how you feeling, brother?
Man, I'm feeling great.
I'm doing great.
Happy Tuesday, boys and girls. One question only. How do you feel?
Well, I feel good, and I'm doing well.
That's all that really matters in 20 minutes. Did the Patriots have a divided locker room this season? In 40 minutes, advanced analytics and your epic fail. We were just talking about this wild story that I discovered while interviewing Joe Klecko, where head coach of the Jets, Walt Michaels, took a phone call in the middle of a playoff game in L.A. The security guard told him it was his owner, Leon Hess, on the phone, screaming at him to get Mark Gastineau off the field. And then he said, I think this is Al Davis. Al Davis said, it's not me. After the game, when he heard this declaration, cursed out Walt Michaels, ended up being a part-time bar owner in Queens watching the game. I mean, could that ever happen ever again, where you could randomly be a bar owner, call a stadium, say you're the owner of the team, and get patched through to the locker room to the head coach at halftime of a playoff game? The 80s. Nothing like it. Over the weekend, one of the biggest upsets in NCAA tournament history, perhaps college basketball history in general, happened. It happened in Columbus, Ohio, and it happened when the number 1 seeded Purdue Boilermakers fell to number 16, Fairleigh Dickinson. He was on the call and absolutely nailed it. Mwah! Chef's kiss with an FDU believe it. Joining us this morning on the show, CBS Sports broadcaster, one of the voices of March Madness, Andrew Catalan. Andrew, good morning.
What's up, DA?
How we doing?
Oh, we're good. We're good. My voice is a little gravelly, but it was an awesome weekend out in Columbus. And, wow, just incredible games. You get lucky sometimes. We got lucky in Columbus. We had phenomenal games.
At what point in the game did you start thinking, man, we could see this happen?
You know, as you know, and as, you know, Mraz knows, I have a tendency to get a little overexcited at times. I mean, I'm the guy that on a 3 that makes it 5-2 might go a little crazy. So I was trying to stay measured throughout the game and not get too far ahead of myself, because we've seen this movie before. You've seen the underdog, look good for a while, and then the favorite comes and knocks them out. So I think I was kind of expecting that to happen. And then there was 1 minute to go in the first half, and the producer said, hey, let's show the UMBC-UVA highlights here. I'm like, no, we've got to get to the second half before we show that. Like, let's just get through halftime, then we'll start going there. So, look, I thought FDU was in it the whole game, and in the back of my mind, I thought, yes, this might happen, but I didn't want to kind of go to that place until about 8 minutes to go in the second half, and then that's when I kind of let it go a little bit.
So we saw the video of Tobin Anderson, the head coach of FDU, saying before the game, this was a great job by your camera crew, saying, I've watched film of these guys. I think we can beat them. I mean, this is a 16 seed that didn't even win their own conference, looking at a 1 seed, and the coach is saying, I think we can beat them. Why is that? Why did Tobin Anderson think that he could do it?
Well, he said that after they won their first 4 game in Dayton. He didn't think all the cameras were in there. Of course they were, and they heard it. And Purdue heard that, by the way, as Matt Painter told us the day before the game. They were well aware of those comments. Now, Tobin Anderson will say that he did it to give his kids belief that they could go into this game and win it. But now in hindsight, I mean, what team in the Big Ten plays like FDU? I mean, Purdue didn't know what to do. FDU was running circles around them. They were like little gnats in the paint, and then Purdue was watching them go by. So I think that in hindsight, Tobin Anderson, who had watched film, thought this is a style that could give Purdue trouble. Now, he did say after the game, if we played them 100 times, they'd beat us 99 times. And, he might be right about that, but they had the perfect game plan. Purdue now has lost to a double-digit seed each of the last 3 NCAA tournaments, and they had freshman guards. And I think, DA, it's just everyone is so old in college basketball these days with the COVID years and redshirt years that, it's tough for freshmen to walk into March and make a difference. So, credit to FDU. They had an incredible game plan, and they got it done.
Andrew Catalon, CBS Sports, called FDU Purdue over the weekend one of the great upsets of all time. You got to tell me about the sports information director. Is this unique where a school like FDU doesn't have a paid professional, an adult? They have a student running their sports information department?
Oh, it's unique. I've never experienced it before. His name is Jordan Sarnoff. He did an incredible job this week with so much attention. I think he actually needed a little bit of help. He asked one of the Michigan State sports information directors just for a little bit of guidance and help because he's still a student. He is the guy, and I said this, that calls WFAN at 2:45 in the morning to get Tobin Anderson on after they lost the conference championship game.
Wow.
to go on the air. And this is what he's always wanted to do. I mean, he went to Ian Eagle and Bruce Beck's sportscasting camp as a kid. He didn't want to go on air. He thought that he wanted to be Jay Horowitz of the Mets. So I know that that's his idol. That's his mentor. And he had this incredible run. And we are so happy because we did the story. Jamie Erdahl did a fantastic job. And the NCAA decided yesterday they're going to take him with them to the Final Four in Houston to be one of the SIDs down there, which is a thrill of the lifetime for Jordan. He deserves it, and it's unique. I mean, I've never experienced that before, but he is the perfect person to get that experience, and I couldn't be happier for him.
That is awesome. That's such a good March Madness story. Andrew Catalon joins us from CBS Sports. You also had Michigan State in your region. So you had Michigan State beating USC, and then Michigan State defeating Marquette as well en route to a Sweet 16. They play tough. They play hard. They can be devastating on opponents. And it's Tom Izzo again. What'd you see from the Spartans up close to make this 7 seed into the Sweet 16?
DA, as you and I know, February is a tough month. It can be very long in February, the dog days of the college basketball season. But March is anew for Michigan State, and Tom Izzo, who better to represent the month of March than Tom Izzo? I mean, he really had been harping on his team to play better defense the last couple of weeks of the season, and he was really pleased with their defensive effort against USC in the first round. Boogie Ellis had a great year for the Trojans. He scored 18 a game, but he could not do anything against Michigan State in the first round. He only had 6 points on 3 of 12 shooting. As Tom Izzo has said time and time again, defense wins in March, yet you don't win without it. And they did a great job on USC, and then they shut down Marquette. I mean, Tyler Kolek was the Big East Player of the Year. He had a tough couple of games out in Columbus, including in the second round loss to Michigan State. This Michigan State team, as Tom Izzo has said, is not the most talented team he's ever had, but they are very well connected. They're very close. And now that they have good defense on their side again, which is something they kind of lost back in February, this is a very live team in the Sweet 16.
You also saw Vermont up close, and they lost to Marquette. But Vermont's always there. They win the America East almost every season. Their head coach, John Becker, is such a good coach. I wonder, do you think Becker could get a bigger job? Do you think he's ready, that he could end up being a successful coach at the next level if a power conference job opened up?
Absolutely. I mean, John Becker has done a phenomenal job at Vermont. He's a 6-time Coach of the Year. This was a year where he actually told us that he didn't think they had enough to get to the NCAA tournament. He expected this to be a transition year, and they win 15 in a row. They win their conference championship again. They go to the NCAA tournament for back-to-back years. I think especially in the Northeast with his connections, he's certainly a guy that if he's given a chance to move up a level or two, I think would do a great job. I mean, Vermont is such a program steeped in tradition now, going back to Tom Brennan and now with John Becker, that, and Dia, this is the thing I said on the air the other day, kind of going back to FDU, and I think it applies to a team like Vermont as well. there's this stigma attached to D2 or lower level college basketball that it's just low level, that they can't hack it at the big level. I mean, look at what FDU did. Their coach was never a Division I head coach. He was the last 9 years at D2 St. Thomas Aquinas, and he took 3 D2 players from his team last year, made them starters at FDU, and they beat Purdue. So I think that just goes to show you that, anyone in college basketball is capable of doing anything, but we should never overlook lower-level coaches or lower-level players. I think the gap in college basketball is a lot less wide than it was maybe even 5-10 years ago.
For sure. And Becker's a great basketball mind. We've had him on the show before. He's an easygoing guy as well, so you can connect with him. I think players like playing for him. He boats, he golfs, he's a fun guy, but he also knows his X's and O's, and he gets the most out of kids. So I think you're absolutely right about his potential at the next level. Before I let you go, your final call on FDU was just amazing. FDU, believe it. There were T-shirts that were printed shortly thereafter. Did they ask you for a partial licensing deal? Because if not, they'll see.
Last year I had the cheerleader climbing up on the backboard, and they made that into a T-shirt.
Yeah.
And now they got FDU Believe It, and I'm sitting here. I gotta go mow the lawn. I got things to do at home here. I'm not getting any of this stuff. How about a T-shirt? Can I get a T-shirt, baby, sent to me? That would be nice. But no, I get nothing. Good for them. They're smarter than we are. I mean, if we sat there and put our ideas together, DA, we might have something. But instead, we're on Trash Tuesday together.
We're going to work on getting this FDU Believe It T-shirt over to Andrew Catalon since he coined the phrase. And if we don't see it, it's because it's March, and March can be devastating. Andrew Catalon had the calls over the weekend for the Columbus region of the NCAA tournament. My man, always good to talk to you. Thanks so much.
All right, DA. We'll talk soon.
See you. Andrew Catalon joining us this morning here on the show. So out of that pod, you had FAU moving into the Sweet 16 after they defeated FDU in the round of 32. FAU, the Owls, hoot hoot, will take on Tennessee. And FAU, it's a good team, well coached. I thought the way that they played down the stretch against FDU was very impressive. Now it is a 16 seed, so kind of tough to tell how FAU would do against a better squad. But Rick Barnes always flames out, so got to give FAU credit. And a possibility to win that game and maybe go to the Elite Eight. How crazy would that be? And then Michigan State will take on Kansas State. It is a Trash Tuesday, so tweet at us, DA on CBS. The great @Mailman, at your hold snapper, tweets, "Good morning, DA. I'm trashing Mraz's definition of blue collar. Dude, you sit at a desk all day. Stop doing this. Hashtag, I want to have a fun year.
Total wasteoid."
Care to respond?
Yeah. I know that I have it good and I don't have a jackhammer out in the street, but I am still up early, and anytime I am asked to do extra shifts around these parts, weekends, afternoons, different networks, I put the hard hat on, and I don't care how tired I am, I go and do it. I'm a yes man. That's why. So I'm blue collar in terms of the radio business, and I like to think because of that, I represent the blue collar people out there.
Okay. Lukewarm Churro is trashing his sister. She hasn't watched a second of college basketball yet. She has already clinched the win in our family pool by picking the teams on which jersey she likes most. And trash me for trusting Pat Boyle and Marquette. Trash him.
Hefty, hefty, hefty.
Ring at Ahoy with them ring at Ahoy with them MU for old Marquette. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go.
Bad call on Marquette. DJ Tommy D tweets, "It's been a long time, and you know who I'm going to trash? Bob the Deli Man. We have so many things left to discuss, but my one thing with Bob was, what are better, ring dings or yodels? Can we discuss this one day and get a real winner? I'm not going to say who likes who. And Mraz, keep your unpiped mouth shut. We have probably argued about this more than Cowboys-Giants. We figured out the Cowboys are better. It's not the same shopping without him, in my opinion. Bob and Nancy at home together should be a reality show. Hashtag what about Bob?"
Okay.
Long and
Totally gross, dude.
Long and winding, but Mraz, ring dings or yodels?
I don't like either, but I can only tell you growing up in the house I grew up in, Bob always had more yodels than ring dings over the years.
And what's the difference between the two?
Well, a ring ding looks more like a hockey puck. A yodel is like Twinkie shaped, if you will, cylinder like.
But they have the same
same chocolate, same cream. It's just in a different shape.
And Funny Bones is the one with the peanut butter in the middle.
Correct. And Devil Dogs is more of the cakey instead of the crunchy.
Wait a minute. Funny Bones has peanut butter in the middle?
Yeah,
of it?
instead of cream, it's a funny bone because it looks like a yodel but has peanut butter instead.
It's like a peanut butter flavored cream.
That's a game changer.
It's really.
You didn't know the Funny Bone, huh?
I never had a Funny Bone.
It's a little underwhelming.
Funny Bone.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I know. Why don't we just have this conversation off air?
No. We can wait on this. Let's have this conversation.
Papa Amendo used to race through boxes of Devil Dogs when I was a kid. Race.
That was always my favorite growing up.
He was Devil Dog Hound.
Devil Dog. He's a dog hound, a Devil Dog Hound. The Twinkie sucked, and that was the one that everybody always made the fattest jokes about. But honestly, give me if I'm going to have that crap, give me the chocolate at least.
The Twinkie does nothing for me.
Yeah, it's just yellow cake with cream.
Just cake.
Ugh.
I need the chocolate.
Now, right church, wrong pew. I like the apple pie squares.
Sure.
Those are my of those types of candies. That's my favorite.
Yeah, the Hostess pies are solid. In terms of like a throwback 1974 snack, I always thought the blueberry ones were pretty good. Cherry was pretty good.
Cherry was
and then the apple one. But if you go ring dings, yodels, what have you, throw them in the freezer. Because when you pop them out, perfect, because they're like hard on the outside.
I like them at a fair deep fried.
Oh, I've never had that.
I've seen them. They're making the rounds now. It's a good snack, you know. But then again, you can deep fry anything.
Steve in Severna Park is trashing underground water. It's running at my house like Dixieland Dan's family throws up at disgusting smells. Every 10 minutes, the sump pump's going off. Get it out, literally.
That's just human filth.
Rob, not in the 3-2-1, different guy, trashing drivers that still don't know how to use the on-ramp on the highway. Speed up, get in front of me, or slow down and get behind me. Stop riding beside me, waiting for me to move left. There's probably someone passing. Hashtag get them out.
Overflowing landfill.
That's an excellent one. Totally excellent one. And also, I'm gonna trash some on-ramps. On-ramps are too short sometimes. You can't accelerate. You got to trash that as well.
That's just offensive.
Now here's Tyler, who's trashing my wife's grandma. She gave her online boyfriend more than $250,000, sold her house and car, cashed in her policies, has no remorse about giving it away, and calls us the liars. She had the guts to call and ask to borrow $300 from us. Nice try, old lady. For more clarification, she has never met this person, never video chatted. We've proved it's not who he claims to be. She doesn't care. We involved state and federal authorities, but can't do anything because she put all her money into crypto accounts for him.
Warning, hazardous material.
Can you believe this?
I think she read a stun to a news.
I think she tweeted the wrong handle. She probably needed like America's Most Wanted or something.
So
like
she
that.
got catfished. She got catfished and then doesn't want to believe she got catfished.
Is
So
denying
blaming family, denying it, now looking for money.
Denial. Total
You
denial.
know what? That's, the
That's
old hag's got
sad.
to go at that point.
She gave $250,000 and buried it in crypto for this guy, and she never met him.
It's horrible.
Nor video chatted with him.
I hate to say this, I don't feel bad for these people.
I depends on how old she is. If she's really getting...
Well, I can't imagine that she is, losing her faculties if he's willing to tweet and trash her. You know what I mean? I got to think that she's of some sound mind.
Who has $250,000 to give away to a boyfriend, first of all, especially if you're not getting anything out of the deal?
You know who? Princeton grads.
Maybe Tyler's wife's grandma.
But how is she allowed to do one part of it and not be contained to not do anything else?
What do you mean?
She continues to do it. How is she not contained after the first time she's done the major donation?
How can you contain it?
I try to cut her off.
It's her money. She can do what she wants with it. You can't monitor all the time.
I know, but that's a...
This guy's angry because the inheritance is out.
Of course. Could you
I'd be.
imagine watching your grandparent flush $250,000 down the toilet for a fake guy on the side of the, on the other side of the internet?
He's probably a St. John's booster, too. Help get Patino in.
It's not good.
This is
My
terrible.
God, that's horrible.
Tyler saying, "Nice try, old lady." That's a tough one.
I got the feeling there were problems with Tyler and Grandma before this, to be fair. Get the vibe the two weren't chummy on Thanksgiving.
And this is your wife's grandma. That's got to be tough to watch because you're also a family removed.
Yeah, it's probably more frustrating because you feel like you really can, bash him a little bit. Yeah. Now, look, I don't think Grandma and Tyler are going to see eye to eye here the rest of her life.
No, I don't think so either. When we come back, division in the Patriots locker room, plus more trash is DA, CBS Sports Radio.
I mean, how do you enable your grandson to think his behavior is okay? Or weren't we all raised by our parents, grandmothers, whoever, to show us to be better? You honestly don't think your grandson acted like a jerk for the last 6 weeks, that you're celebrating him being free from the Raiders? Grandma Brown's got to take a lap. She has to take a lap.
She has to take a lap.
Complete enabler.
Slowly.
Complete enabler.
No hips broken.
With a walker.
Yeah.
No. And this is the second old woman I've had a problem with on the show. First
that
was
right?
Sister Jean.
Yeah, right.
Obviously her fraudness. And Antonio Brown's grandmother. You're a bad grandma. You are enabling your grandson. Take a lap. That's not okay what he did for 6 weeks. You're acting like he just got out of some horrible situation that somebody did wrong by him. No, he did wrong by everybody involved. And you as a grandmother are on the phone enabling him? She needs to get lost. Get lost, Grandma.
Bad grandma.
Horrible grandma. She's a bad grandma. Take a lap.
You were trying so hard to be somewhat polite there.
I was, because you know what? It's an old lady. I get it. And you know what? We shouldn't pick on old ladies. I understand. The Werthers and the purse, the whole 9 yards. But she answers the phone. She answers the phone and doesn't tell Antonio you're acting like a clown and get in line. You're a grandmother. You enabled an idiot grandson to act like a buffoon. And she's on social media. She probably don't even know what that exists. I mean, what a clown this grandmother is, really. She might be a bigger clown than Brown himself. Because she should know better, even if Brown doesn't, and she enabled this behavior.
We free, Grandma! We got freedom, Grandma!
What are you free from? You're $30 million guaranteed? You could have booked Grandma some new tennis balls for the walker. Instead, you're enabling you. Get lost.
You could have paid for a guy to carry Grandma around.
By the way, how are you going to feel when Antonio Brown has confetti falling on his head in Miami at the Super Bowl and probably is MVP, at the very least has his championship
It's
ring?
going to be disgusting. It's going to be gross. You're going to be screaming, I hate the Patriots. Somebody stop the Patriots. Then we're going to show up. We're going to do a show after the Super Bowl. We're going to be miserable. You're going to disappear for 2 weeks to go to Miami or whatever you do. And then we're going to have to get back in and we're going to pretend we care about the NBA in February. It's just exactly what's going to happen.
We
2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Please remember you're being watched. Cap never turns the camera off. The DA Show on CBS Sports Radio.
That's from Arouse. When you pick your nose, remember, the camera's always on.
Oh, no. What do we land on again? 1 knuckle's okay, 2 is too many?
Yeah, 2 is you're in deep.
Okay.
Knuckle deep. The DA Show. CBS Sports Radio. Watch us with those cameras at watchda.com. That's mobile friendly. Also on YouTube or on Twitch. But this audio from our Boston affiliate, WEEI. This is Devin McCourty.
Yes.
Okay. Jason is the one on Good Morning Football.
He's not on the Browns anymore?
They're both done playing football now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are you sure about that?
Good job.
Yeah, well, one guy definitely is on TV every morning.
Time out before we throw to the audio. The only reason I think that Jason McCourty's still playing is that in this, I had to listen, by the way, to about 40 minutes of this interview because, where it was didn't exactly put it out easy. And Devin mentions that when he retired, he had to call Jason, who was at an NFLPA meeting conversing with the other players or whatever, and he had to have him hop on Zoom, so he let him know before the public knew. So why would Jason be on that if he's done playing?
I don't know, but they're
I think
both.
Devin's
No,
on Good
Jason
Morning
McCourty is on Good Morning Football.
Right. Jason's on TV every morning. Right. Devin just retired. And he was playing for the Patriots last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he is now retired going into the media, and he did this interview. This was kind of his welcome to media world. So he joins WEEI in Boston and says this about the quarterback situation last year.
The struggles on offense always turned into, I think there were some guys that are in the locker room like, all right, let's go with Zappy. All right, no, Mac looked good today. It was just a back and forth, which to me spoke more about what we had on offense than the quarterback. Like we never were solidified as an offensive group that guys had full confidence in anything we were doing. Like if something worked one day, like running the ball with Mondre and when Dame was healthy and them two were going back and forth running the ball, everybody's like, let's run. And then if we had a game where like we're throwing the ball, let's pass. Or let's just not turn the ball over because we're scoring on defense. Like it was, to me, it was just that cycle of there was never like true hope. And I'm not saying
and that's because Patricia only installed 10 plays.
Well, and I'm the guy that too. I'm not blaming. I think it was a group thing. Like I'm not saying just Matty P because Matty P is a defensive coordinator by training and knows defense. And because he went to Detroit head coach, I think he has some experience with kind of the roster and doing things like that. And I don't think Matty P was like. I don't think he came into 2022 and was like, you know what? My next thing is to be an offensive coordinator.
I always get a little leery on doing Patriot segments because I do them so often that some of you are very annoyed at how much I talk about this and the belaboring of the point. So I'll try to be respectful to that degree. I'm not going to do 20 minutes on this, even though I could. What I'll say is you have massive changes within the Patriots organization, and they're not for the better. When they won championships and they went to the AFC title game every single season and were the bullies of the NFL, there was never a division in the locker room. Why is that guy starting? Maybe we should do this. Why are we not doing that? That suggests lack of confidence in your leaders and confusion in the purpose. That was never a Patriots problem, ever. I covered those teams. I was in that locker room multiple times a week for multiple years in the middle of their run. There was never, ever, ever grumbling about what are we doing there. And forget the quarterback position. Why are we playing that guy? That guy shouldn't be starting. What's our plan here? We should run the football more. That was never, ever a problem. So that's the first part. There is now dissension on purpose. Secondly, when a guy retired, he never, ever spilled the beans. Willie McGinnis retired, didn't say nothing. Teddy Bruschi retired, didn't say nothing. Wes Welker retired, didn't say nothing. None of those guys, Ty Law retired, Deion Branch retired, all those guys, Troy Brown retired, they all had microphones in their face as analysts on TV, on radio. They were in media in some capacity. Nobody ever spilled the beans. Nobody ever talked about the issues in the locker room. Devin McCourty, who is a Patriot favorite and a Belichick, I mean, he's like Belichick's second son. The McCourtys have been around that organization so long. The moment he walks out the door talking about, yeah, man, Matt Patricia didn't sign up for being an offensive coordinator. Yeah, half the team wanted Zappy, half the team wanted Mac, half the team wanted to run the football, half the team wanted to throw the football. And extensively in that conversation, McCourty talked about how bad training camp was, how ugly the offense was, and how everybody knew, uh-oh. So now you've got guys who are more than willing to talk about some of the dysfunction happening. I say this to simply put a bow on, it ain't the Patriots that you know anymore. It ain't. That is gone. Belichick has lost that part of it, and this happened to Chuck Noll, and it happened to Tom Landry, and it happened to Don Shula, and it happens to the greats. If you stick around too long, all the things that you used to be good at start slipping out of your grasp. All those things that you had control over, that you had direction over, that you had purpose over, all those things start getting away from you. That's the way it's always been. And it's happening to Belichick in real time. It's happening in real time, and if he was smart, he'd retire tomorrow. Because the longer he does this, the more it's going to wear on that aura. The more it's going to tarnish it. The Patriots aren't going to suddenly be good again. Look at that division. If the Jets do get Aaron Rodgers, the Patriots are an 8-9 team. How long are you going to hang around being a non-playoff squad? Long enough to just prove over and over that Tom Brady was better off without you instead of you better off without him? It's only going to keep happening. The Matt Patricia hire was an eye-opener because that just shows Belichick's lack of touch with that. But go down the list. Lack of touch with the free agent class a couple of years ago. Lack of touch with the draft classes in recent memory, so much so that Robert Kraft is talking about it publicly. Losing touch with decisions inside the locker room, losing confidence of the locker room itself, losing the fear of guys leaving and saying bad things about the program. It ain't the same. All right, final headline of the morning. Here is Andrew Bogish.
DA, let me take you to Miami. Japan and Mexico in the second WBC semifinal last night. Mexico led 3-0, then 5-3 late, but Japan got one run back in the 8th, then had 2 on in the bottom of the 9th. That's from Japanese TV, and if you can't understand, Japan won 6-5 on a game-ending 2-run double by
Shea Gilgeous Alexander Hayes.
And now they face the U.S. for the title tonight in Miami.
Is that game on regular TV or Tubi? Can I find it tonight?
It was on FS1 last night.
Didn't know that. Some of the games have been on Tubi. That's why.
Yeah, but I think those are early round games.
I've only seen them on a Fox channel or MLB Network.
Okay. All right.
But,
I can find it.
so tonight, I don't know if that's straight Fox or FS1, but it's going to be on one of those two things tonight.
Championship game tonight. U.S. Japan.
Mm-hmm. 7 o'clock start.
In Miami?
In Miami.
Nice.
John Morant returned to the Grizzlies bench last night and watched the fourth quarter rally against the Mavs.
3-point Grizzly lead. 8 on the shot clock. Jones to the right wing. Jones to the foul line. Jackson into the paint. Scoops to the left hand and scores. Jaren Jackson Jr. right down Beale Street to the window. Lays it in. 110-105, and they are dancing in their seats inside FedEx Forum.
That's Grizz Radio. Memphis outscoring Dallas 29-12 in the fourth to win 112-108.
Somebody was 0 for 8 in the fourth quarter of that game.
That was Kyrie Irving.
Oh,
there was
that's a
also
shame.
Dylan Brooks picking up his 18th technical foul, triggering a second one-game suspension. This one was kind of funny, though. He dunked, and then he looked at the Maverick bench, and Theo Pinson, who played at North Carolina, I think I remember correctly. Former net, has now a little bit of NBA infamy because he's a cheerleader. Like, he's on the bench, doesn't play, but he talks a lot. Was stepping on the court a bunch in the postseason last year. There's a new Theo Pinson rule on behavior.
Oh.
And Dylan Brooks looked at him and did a pom-pom routine after dunking, and he got teed up for that.
So Dylan Brooks is openly embracing being the villain, the villain of the NBA.
That's his new nickname, apparently. Dylan the Villain.
Not
I learned
bad.
that this morning. It's not
I
bad.
guess we could use something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, Draymond is kind of tired at this point.
Yeah, I like this. I mean, he might be a total jerk in real life, but we need this in the NBA.
It's not bad.
They could be a little more successful the way they act.
Yeah, good point.
Just a little bit more. They're good enough to have some edge, but they're not that good that they should be
But
bullying
that's what
everybody.
makes it funny, is that, we all kind of know you're not that great.
Yeah.
Ja, by the way, should play tomorrow against the Rockets, who let the Warriors end their 11-game road skid last night, 121-108 in Houston, behind 59 combined points from Steph and Klay Thompson. Julius Randle scored 57 by himself. That's a career high, but the Knicks lost at home to the T-Wolves 140-134.
In regulation, right?
In regulation.
140-134 in regulation.
I fell asleep in the third quarter late, and they both were in the 90s. Obviously late third quarter. Yeah. The Bulls snapped the Sixers' 8-game win streak, 109-105 in double overtime. And the Pacers blew a 21-point first-half lead, lost in Charlotte 115-109. Indy now 2.5 games behind the Bulls for 10th in the East. For just the second time in its 41-year history, the women's tournament has lost 2 1 seeds before the Sweet 16. It was Stanford Sunday, Indiana last night, a 70-68 home loss to Miami.
2 1s are gone to the men's, 2 1s are gone to the women's. Parity striking college basketball on both genders.
How about that?
UConn
And the NIT ones went out, too.
Who else?
Rutgers.
Right.
Colorado, the one that he picked.
Florida?
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State lost? I didn't know. I've not paid attention.
I haven't.
Oh, they lost? They lost?
I'm just looking at the leaderboard. I don't even know what's happening.
And we still don't know.
Is it over?
It could be over.
No.
You might not have points left.
The competition.
Yeah.
No, I meant the NIT. Is it over?
No.
Last I checked, I think he had 3 more possible wins. Sean.
But you do get more points for each round. So those could be 3 valuable. Well, although you lost 3 Final Four teams,
People are talking about the WBC tonight, but I mean, have we thought about watching the NIT tonight? It's North Texas, Oklahoma State still alive.
Oh, good.
Oh, they're alive.
Wisconsin, Oregon tonight.
Good.
Don't scare me like that.
I know.
Both games on ESPN Plus, so that's exciting.
Not even on actual ESPN?
No, the first one's on ESPN. Yeah, both are on ESPN.
Okay. Oh, so worldwide leader.
Yeah.
I get the games. North Texas, Oklahoma State going to do a better rating than the WBC.
Eat it!
I'll be watching that before the WBC.
You hate watching the NIT. One last note on where FDU came from. That's the NEC. St. Francis Brooklyn has been a member for over 4 decades. They sponsor 21 sports, and yesterday the school said it's ending all athletic programs after this school year.
St. Francis?
Ain't no Ivy League schools just dropping sports. Right, Sean?
Although Stanford wanted to, and then there was a huge backlash
Only
during
a couple,
COVID.
though.
Yeah. Not football.
No.
I thought that was just a hospital. I didn't realize it was a school.
St. Francis, the great St. Francis. No,
of Brooklyn.
No more St. Francis of Brooklyn.
St. Francis, PA going strong.
No women's lacrosse, no soccer.
So.
No men's hoops. Devastating.
If you're an athlete, get out. Get out.
Roger Goodell.
What?
Transfer.
Roger Goodell.
Obviously.
Right. I'm just going to stay here.
Hey, you know
See if
what?
they change their mind.
I'll be in the library.
Roger Goodell's been NFL commissioner since 2006.
Where's my team?
He's expected to get his fourth.
Where's my team? When's practice?
Oh.
He's expected to get his fourth extension next week when owners meet in Phoenix. The Bills are signing former Patriots running back Damian Harris. And as you've heard this morning, Cam Newton is throwing for teams at Auburn's Pro Day this afternoon. Teams, though, have not confirmed if they will watch. And from the NHL... and from the NHL, the Kings thumped the Flames 8-2 for a 10-game point streak. It's a 7-game point streak for the Panthers, a 5-2 win in Detroit, and the Oilers dropped the Sharks 5-4 in overtime for a 4-game win streak. And again, Darnell Nurse, your overtime ending man. DA, back to you.
The other one seed of the NIT that went down, Clemson. Clemson and Rutgers. So 2 1s for the NIT, 2 1s for the women's bracket, 2 1s for the men's bracket. Wow.
March Madness.
That's what I
Mark
would
your
call it.
brackets.
How's the CBI doing? They holding true
They all
to
went
form?
home.
They went home with St. Francis. They all went home. Dixieland Dan says, could you imagine Pete the Body trying to schedule around people taking off for Sugar Daddy Day?
I wouldn't be allowed.
It's not a real day.
I don't care if I got in trouble. It would not be allowed.
Dan adds, if 69-year-old Gerda has 200 acres with 3 lakes full of fish and all she wants is some adult wrestling late at night, I bet single DA jumps in those granny panties lickety-split.
Gerda.
You know.
Yeah, you're listening.
You know what? Tell me more, Gerda. Tell me more.
There is freedom within, there is freedom without. Try to catch the deluge of a paper cup.
I like that you wouldn't send 2 picks and a guaranteed contract to Lamar Jackson, but Gerda's on the table. There's more negotiations there.
Hey now,
Look,
hey now.
She could look like 1983 Roseanne Barr. If they pay for my Sunday ticket, I'm in.
I don't know if I could trust Lamar Jackson's health, but Gerda.
Hey now.
Striped bass.
Wait a second.
There it is.
3 stocked ponds?
Show me that smile again.
Why? Why do we need he who shall not be named serenading us in the middle of this tape?
Don't waste another minute on your crying.
It's like absorb the take, bop your head for a second, absorb the take, bop your head.
Whether we're near the end.
It's just the versatility of his voice. All of those performances fit the mood or any mood.
Gerda and him.
Right.
That's great.
The best is ready to begin.
Exactly, Gerda. It's trout season. Let's do it.
It's trout season. Bill tweets, I've said this before, but thank God for Cap. I've been listening for 8 or 9 years and recently started watching on the live stream. The best of moments during commercial breaks make the 4 hours even that much better. I wish I had started watching on the stream sooner. That's right. If you want to catch up on classic moments of the show, Cap plays them every radio commercial break. So you could watch, watchda.com, watch on YouTube, watch on Twitch.
We do still encourage listening on the radio because those commercials do help a lot of what we do.
Could you do both?
Well, look, if you buy a sleep number bed and watch on YouTube, you're helping us on both fronts.
Sure. Gamble with FanDuel.
You know what you can do?
And if you're a vet, use Navy, whatever the sponsors are, defensive player of the week.
Navy Federal Credit Union.
Yes,
Navy
please.
Federal Credit Union, an amazing credit union.
Get your carburetors at AutoZone.
And listen to March Madness. And the NFL playoffs.
The free Odyssey app. When we come back on the show, advanced analytics at an epic fail. DA, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Sure, I know you guys play the Perfect Strangers theme on Friday, so maybe I'll give you a little bit of that.
Yeah!
And sometimes the world looks perfect, nothing to rearrange. Sometimes you just get a feeling like you need some kind of change. No matter what the odds are this time, nothing's gonna stand in my way. This flame in my heart, like a long-lost friend, gets every dark street a light at the end.
You freeze.
Standing tall on the wings of my dreams.
You freeze.
Rise and fall on the wings of my dreams. Rain and thunder, wind and haze, I'm bound for better days. It's my life, my dream, nothing's gonna stop me now. Bum, 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 bum.
Wow,
Robbie. Holes, just a few holes.
There you go.
Wow.
And honestly, I mean,
When
I've
we're
worn
anything
every
but
week since 2008. They're
And now the end is near, so I face the final curtain. My friends, I'll say it clear, state my case, of which I'm certain. I've been on time most weeks, through train delays, and on the highway, and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each weekly song, each custom tune. On every Thursday, I've had my share of laughs singing with D.A.
From a big picture Cardinal standpoint, whoa. That's like the biggest turd you can drop in the middle of Christmas dinner. That's just like, oh. You left the door open, and that side bathroom's like 4 feet from the dinner table, and you're just like, whoa.
There's no turds here.
Wow. Oh. What'd you eat last night?
Oh, that is some visual.
I get a lot of, lately I've been not able to sleep.
Thinking about work?
No, just I got a lot of anxiety.
Just restless generally?
Just restless, yeah.
That sucks. I hate that.
That sucks.
No, it does.
$45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds
you
remaining.
Want one of these? Okay, I'm gonna throw you one. You got it. That's good hands. You could probably make a Guardians practice squad. So there is a giant, if you're watching, giant
15 seconds.
Chocolates.
That's right. And a little teddy bear for you to cuddle with when you're disappointed in any particular result.
Break ends in 5 seconds.
analytics is just a term that's kind of thrown around a lot.
It's time now for the Mothership's Advanced Analytics.
Which animal activity would you like to do is our question of the morning. Mraz said he'd rather milk a cow than ride a horse. I was definitely on the other side of that equation. 80% of you said you'd rather ride a horse. Save a cowboy. Save a horse, ride a cowboy.
Save a horse, ride a cowboy.
Horses, data tells us that horses can sleep standing up and have excellent hearing. The earliest horse ancestor believed to live close to 55 million years ago. Horses are amazing creatures, aren't they? They're just up close to a horse. You're just like, wow, this is such a strong animal. They have this elegance, this wisdom. They're amazing. Cows can smell something up to 6 miles away. So within a 6-mile radius, maybe they'll smell Bob's bar when we break out Mraz's underwear. And Mraz's father-in-law took Mraz and Danielle to Belmont once. As part of the festivities, they had to watch a horse be put down. Now Danielle refuses to go to a racetrack.
That was it for her.
Womp womp.
That was Father's Day. Brutal.
Wow, that's a rough analytics department.
Well, Pete said, do you have a horse story?
That's the best we got?
The analytic department said that.
Wasn't there a Jody Mack story in there that we could have used?
I gave him what I had.
Okay, let's get onto a brighter note here. Your epic fail. How do you milk one of these things?
Even the DA show is not perfect. We know. Shocking. Here's the epic fail.
Milking a cow is probably one of the top animal things I want to do in my life.
Being on a steer would be scary.
That's like bull riding.
Yeah, that's like bull riding, rodeo stuff.
I was on a steer in Texas.
You were on a steer?
Yeah, I didn't ride around it. So you get on the steer, you take a picture, and then get off the steer.
Le who? The her.
What's the steer doing? Just kind of hanging out?
Just hanging out. It's tied up.
So you hurt its back while it's tied up so you can take a picture? See, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to hurt an animal. I want to milk.
And then it will spray all over the place if you're not careful.
So once you squirted it in that bucket, would you just take a palm full and splash it in your face?
Did I ever milk a cow?
So I don't know the answer to this. I don't know if it then needs to be filtered through something to clear out maybe some cow fat. But if they tell me, hey, you're all clear, little squirt of Bisquick right in there, slosh it around, fresh chocolate milk.
What do you mean? You mean Nesquik?
Isn't Bisquick a bottle too?
No, Bisquick is the pancakes.
Bosco,
yes.
Bosco and Nesquik. I think I mix those with Bisquick. Yeah, so you do a little right in there.
Your
little solo cup.
Your big pail of raw cow milk.
Aren't we taught farm to table? Aren't we taught that that's the freshest, most delicious time?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't milk fresh out of Daisy the cow's udder, squirted with a little Bosco, be the best chocolate milk you ever had in your life?
It might be.
I mean, you have to really pull and yank at the udder.
You know what I mean? I bet you in Wisconsin, people are dunking their face in buckets and drinking the chocolate milk like that. We don't get that here.
That's exactly what they're doing.
And the fact that Bogish hasn't run in here tells me I'm right.
Oh, he's just tired of it.
Epic fail, you loser.
That is why you fail.
Epic fail.
How do they let us do this show every day? Kristen in Buffalo tweets, we get farm fresh milk here. She lives up near Buffalo. I'm talking milkman delivering it in glass bottles right from the farm. I'll argue it's the best milk ever because you don't want it straight from the cow. Raw milk can have harmful bacteria. Pasteurization is key.
That's the cow filter.
That's okay. That's one way to put it. All right, that'll do it for us this morning here on the show. Thanks to Sean Mraz, executive producer. Thanks to Pete the Body Bellotti on the Wheels of Steel and audio director. Thanks to Andrew Bogish on your headlines. And thanks to Andrew Kaplan, the Wizard of Watch DA. Tomorrow, Steve Lapis is going to join us. We'll talk some March Madness with him. Be good. Be good to one another. I'm DA. We'll see you tomorrow. The Mothership disconnects.